Today's feature from historic Saratoga is the John Morrisey, named after a former bare-knuckle boxer turned congressman who created Saratoga Racecourse. This year's running of the Morrisey should be a throwdown fight as well, where Gypsum Johnny will try to carry on the legacy of his late sire City Zip, who made history at the Spa as a 2-year-old. We'll also preview the much-anticipated showdown in Saturday's Jim Dandy between the Kentucky Derby winner Always Dreaming and Preakness winner Cloud Computing. An action-packed Thursday at the Spa kicks off next on Saratoga Live. Kentucky Derby winner Always Dreaming is ready to get back to work at the Jim Dandy. Can he once again be top dog in the 3-year-old division? Preakness champ Cloud Computing is once again standing in the Derby winner's way. What will he do for an encore off his breakthrough at Pimlico? 3.5 hours due south on Sunday. Belmont Stakes runner-up Irish Warcry will try to get back in the top 3-year-old conversation in the Haskell. And in Thursday's feature, a win by Gypsum Johnny would be extra special for trainer Linda Rice, who also trained his sire, the late City Zip, to a sweep of the 2-year-old stakes here 17 years ago. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Thursday edition of Saratoga Live. It's presented by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. Great feature race coming up for you and plenty to talk about on a monster weekend in the 3-year-old division. Our feature should be very, very good. It's the John Morrisey, and a bunch of horses enter off wins last time out. So we'll set up that one in a little bit. Greg Wolf alongside former New York Met, Los Angeles Dodger Paul LaDuca. This weekend's going to be special, and obviously here at Saratoga, it's historic. The first time ever a Derby winner has gone against a Preakness winner in the Jim Dandy. What are you looking forward to in that matchup?
Well, I'm looking forward to a lot of things this weekend. You're obviously looking forward to the Derby and the Preakness winner going at each other, right? But they're drawing the 1 and 2 hole. I thought that was interesting. And yes, Paul Redham, he has never turned down a challenge, or at least a shot. He brings an interesting horse here that's 1-for-1 that blasted a field, the son of Creative Cross. I think he could throw a monkey wrench into this race, that being the 4-horse Pavel, who shows a ton of speed. Is he going to be able to maybe annoy Always Dreaming on the front? And I still think Cloud Computing, the one to beat. But when you talk about the whole grand scheme of things, the 3-year-old pitcher, by the end of Sunday, will get a little bit clearer. Yeah, everyone's talking about the big 2, but of course, Nick Zito never one to shy away from a challenge. He's had some monster upsets, certainly in the Belmont Stakes, but here at Saratoga as well. So he'll try and do it again and score another big upset with Giuseppe the Great. But Always Dreaming, the Derby winner, Cloud Computing, the Preakness winner, going to get all the attention. I sent out this question on Twitter earlier. Would love to get your response. Who wins Saturday's Jim Dandy at Saratoga? Derby winner, Always Dreaming, or Preakness winner, Cloud Computing? Or are you going to go with the field? So you can find that at Real Greg Wolf. Make your vote heard and tell us who you think is going to win this historic matchup that we will have for you live starting at 5 Eastern this Saturday on Saratoga Live. With more on that big-time matchup, let's check in with Maggie Wolfendale.
Greg, I like the fact that you're making surveys now. Not only can you host a show, but you can put it out on Twitter as well. Well, I'm going to take a look at your Kentucky Derby winner from this year. That is Always Dreaming. Now, yes, he was disappointing as he fell to defeat by Cloud Computing in the Preakness. But Todd Pletcher has shortened him, or freshened him up since then. And he says he's been training nicely. He was a little concerned about the track, given that it was very slow and very tiring opening week here at Saratoga. But we've had tons of rain in the last couple days, which is really going to tighten the track up, especially for Saturday. So I don't think that should be a big problem in Todd Pletcher's mind. Also, it's been 10 years since we've had a Derby winner come back in the Jim Dandy. The last one to do so, Street Sense. He took down the Jim Dandy as well as the Travers. So if that's anything to go by, it looks like Always Dreaming might be setting up for a big Saratoga campaign. Also, bit of a side note here in regards to today's races. Jose Ortiz will be off the remaining mounts of this Saratoga card. Going back to today's 5th race, per agent Jimmy Riccio Jr. saying that Jose heard a pop in his elbow as he was riding the finish, so he's heading over to get that MRI'd, and we will keep you up to date as far as jockey changes are concerned in the last few races here on this card. But Greg, I'll send it back to you as we have horses coming into the paddock for today's 7th. Got to get my eyes on them.
All right, Maggie, thanks. And yeah, regarding that jockey news, that's big news. I mean, that's our defending leading rider. He's going to be out, obviously, the rest of the card. Junior Alvarado on the 1 coming up in the 7th, Lieutenant Colonel. You can play along from home as you watch these races. Get signed up and started with NYRABets.com. Bet 200, you will get 200 in your account. Use the promo code PIG5 to take advantage. Again, you can get signed up and started anywhere across the country with NYRABets by simply going to NYRABets.com and by getting signed up and started there. That's the only way to play that NYRABets Late Pick 5 if you do not reside in the state of New York. Track conditions are brought to you by John Deere. Main track listed as good. Turf condition listed as good as well. And the only race remaining on the grass is that 8th at 5.5 furlongs. Race 7 was scheduled for the main. That'll be at 1 1/8 miles. Race 8 does stay on the turf. The 9th hour feature, that is the John Morrisey at 6.5 furlongs. And race 10 now moved to the main track and now 1 1/8 miles. Originally supposed to be 1 1/16 miles. Paul, this race starts the pick 4. How are you going to play it?
Well, I thought it was actually, even though with the scratches lowering some of the fields, I thought you can get a little bit of value. 2-4 in here. I do not know what to do with the 4. Far From Over, a horse that obviously has the talent of Ridgeling by Blame. Tough read. I do think the 2 is the horse to beat. Race number 8, 5, 6, and 8 in there. I really think Ava's Kitten, Blue Bahia, and Ancient Street. I think Ancient Street's going to be tougher than you think. A lot of people will probably single Blue Bahia, but I have a feeling Ancient Street's going to love the cutback. Bunch of horses in race number 9. I just think a lot of horses in there love an off surface. How about the surface? How about the horse Breaking the Fever, the horse from Finger Lakes? That horse is monstrous on a sloppy racetrack. Yeah, and I even think Papa Shot's got a giant shot in race number 9. And then 1 in 11, I like 1, Ose Can You See? Obviously, with a shorter field than the last, those horses are not going to be their morning lines.
Well, with more on the feature, let's check in with the rest of our crew. New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling, racing analyst Gabby Gaudet. And there's a lot of sharp horses coming into that John Morrisey. And Andy, certainly Gypsum Johnny would be a neat story.
No, it's a terrific race. I mean, obviously it lost a couple players on the inside. And Weekend Hideaway scratching, it's got to be something because he loves a wet track. They would not scratch. And track's list is good. We've been talking about it. It's really muddy. It's not a good track. Play as though it's a wet track. And it's interesting they brought up Breaking the Fever, and he's a horse that likes a wet track. But let's talk about the race here, Gabby. Tom's Day Tot. He's a heavy favorite.
He is, and he's opening up right now at 6-5, and I thought that this was a very interesting race, just considering the distance of it, how the pace dynamic might shake out, and the 4, Far From Over. I was sitting here next to you when we saw him run in the Alley Dart, and I thought it was an unforgivable race.
Well, obviously, he has a funny name for a horse, Far From Over, who keeps having injuries and being laid up and coming back. You know, with Far From Over, he's obviously very talented. He ran well in that race, the return race at Belmont back in June of 16. The Alley Dart was a complete disaster. We'll show his withers. This is a race as a 3-year-old where he ran so well, he stumbled badly to start, and he'll come on to win the race. I'll say a couple of things about him, Gabby. His last race at Monmouth is forgivable. He was extremely wide that day on the first turn, and it was a very rail-biased day. It was also a very moderate pace, so he had no chance. And he got towards the inside later, but he did spend a lot of the race on the outside, and you couldn't win from out there. So I can excuse last race. I'll tell you something that worries me a little about him. You mentioned to me before we went on air that you were concerned that maybe it was a little bit more of an outside-y track, and there's at least an argument it's fair. He's a bit of a lug-in horse, seems to tend to go towards the inside a lot.
He does. Some of his races, we've seen the riders kind of take a really strong hold of the outside right rein, and as he's kind of lugging in down the stretch. But historically speaking, too, although he has limited starts, Andy, he's also not gotten out of the gate well on several occasions. And if he gets back to those antics again today, I don't know. I just don't think he's the same horse that we've seen in the past couple of starts.
Obviously, he's a horse with issues. This is his 6th career start in going on 2.5 years. I also don't think that Todd Pletcher would be running him in this spot if he really thought he couldn't run it all anymore. Listen, there are huge question marks, but he's also not a huge favorite. The favorite is Tom's d'Etat, and I think he's a little bit overbet. And looking at multi-race bets, he is a clear-cut favorite. He's not going to be more than 6-5. He could be lower than that. He's got to deal with the speed of Lieutenant Colonel inside of him. You have to imagine Junior Alvarado's going. He's never run a bad race, Tom's d'Etat, but he didn't run great in the slop 2 races back. Is that at all a concern for you?
Not really. I mean, I do think that he's kind of a tactical sort. I do think that Lieutenant Colonel will probably go from the rail. And you look at 2 horses that figure to take a little bit of play in here, Lieutenant Colonel and also Far From Over, the 2 horses we were previously mentioning. And I don't like the inconsistency that they bring to this race. I do like the consistency that Tom's d'Etat does bring in here, although I will agree, I don't think he's faced, I think he's faced inferior fields in the past 2 starts.
I agree. See, that's, I think, very important. And I can make excuses for his race 2 back. It was that biased inside track. He did have some excuses. We'll talk about Bellamy Way later. I think he's being underrated by the crowd. And even though Bellamy Way, the 5-1 at 1 turn at Belmont, he prefers 2 turns. We'll talk about him later. But let's head out to Paddock and hear what see what Maggie's seeing.
I'll start here with your current favorite, Andy, and that is number 2, Tom's d'Etat, whom to me is the best looking horse here in this field, not by far, but by a pretty decent margin. He's just solid. He is carrying great flesh. His coat looks spectacular. All the things you want to see. Now, yes, I do question his affinity for this type of track because he is that heavier body type of horse. Sometimes they don't get over it quite as well as one that might be a little more lighter frames, a little more agile. So I really respect him, and his backing on the board is backed up by what I see here in the paddock. Now we'll take a look at number 4. That is Far From Over, whom going back to his first start back on June 24th in 2016, when he was coming off that extended layoff, he came into that paddock like a bear, like he was breathing fire. And then later on in the Alley Dart up here at Saratoga, he was a lot more quiet, a lot more dull acting overall. Now, fitness-wise here today, he does look extremely fit to me. I would still like to see him possessing a little more energy than what he's showing me here. Now, he is nicely on the bridle. He looks bright and not dull in his makeup here, but still, I think this horse is one that needs to get revved up before his races to really put forth his best effort. So he is a bit of a sketchy proposition here going forward, as like Andy said, he's only making the 6th start of his very short career. Greg?
All right, Maggie, thank you. So, yeah, we'll see what happens here with Far From Over, a son of Blame. And, of course, the trainer who trained Blame to Breeders' Cup glory will try and beat the son of Blame with Tom's d'Etat, the 2 in here, Paul.
And for GMB Racing, for Mr. Benson, for you New Orleans Saints fans, I agree with Gabby and Maggie. The 2's a tough read. I chose the 2 where I think he is the horse to beat. But with trepidation a little bit. His one sloppy racetrack he's bred for was an average race off a tiny bit of a layoff, and he's supposed to get the job last time. He got a good setup and got it done. I think it's a big rider change. Joel getting aboard does help. You look at his one race at Saratoga, he took a field gate to wire. They went slow, and they're not going to go as fast as Lieutenant Colonel. He's a horse that's very fast, trying to chase likes of Danzig Candy. Follow Me Krebs, a closing horse for Vladimir Serin. That's been facing some tough horses in Southern California. So the 1 speed is going to be way faster than the 2. So Tom's d'Etat could be caught in chase mode in here, which could hurt him a little bit. And, Bellamy Way, one of those 2 is going to sit in a good spot.
The Saratoga Showdown, it is a free online game. It continues today. It allows fans to play against each other, win prizes, including a chance to win a 2018 Belmont Stakes prize package worth $2,000. Today's game, an exacta contest, prizes offered to the highest mythical bankroll after each race and also for the end of the day. So allows those who are maybe new to the game somewhat to get acclimated without risking any of their own money.
Yeah, it's a cool little event. It's free as can be. Just go to NYRA.com.
Or,
Easy.
Yeah, NYRA.com or SaratogaShowdown.com, and you can get involved.
Great prizes involved.
Absolutely. Prize package for next year's Belmont. I was at this year's Belmont, and even with no Triple Crown on the line, it's just a sensational day of racing that you definitely want to be part of.
It's a cool day. It really is.
Fun to go after that. In the meantime, post-parade coming up here for race 7. The horses making their way down Champions Way onto the racetrack, and we will start with Lieutenant Colonel with Junior Alvarado, the rider switch. You heard Maggie at the top of the show say Jose Ortiz, he did go to the hospital, an elbow issue, so he's off mounts for the rest of the afternoon. Bill Mott, the trainer of the one.
I hope everything is okay. Lieutenant Colonel, like I said, been chasing a couple Grade 1 winners, includes Danzig Candy, along with Melatonin.
Tom's D'Etat, owned by GMB Racing, trained by Al Stahl, and Joel Rosario rides, comes in from Churchill Downs.
And the son of Smart Strike does have a win over the Saratoga surface, and the public thinks he's the favorite, and so do I.
The 3, Bodhisattva for Jose Corrales, and Carlos Quinones in the irons.
The son of Student Council really runs his races upside down. He will be dead last in here, and if this race happens to fall apart, look for him late.
Black Rock Thoroughbred sends out for 4, far from over for Todd Pletcher. Javier Castellano aboard looked brilliant to begin his career.
Really tough read here. The Ridgeling son of Blame, 3 straight in a row to begin his career, but the last 2 have been a little confusing.
Bellamy Way, a graduate of the 2013 Fasig-Tipton sales, trained by David Canizzo. Manny Franco aboard for Two-Tone Farms.
Besides the 2s, 3 for 6, the 5 Bellamy Way is the most honest horse in here, 10 for 17 the exacta, and does have a 2nd and a 3rd over the Saratoga Strip.
Sometimes these small, compact fields like this, especially on a track that's off, they tend to bunch together a little bit. You don't let anyone get away too far.
Becomes a little bit more of a rider race.
We will see what happens. We're taking a break. Next up, Kentucky Derby winner Always Dreaming gave trainer Todd Pletcher a 2nd win in the run for the Roses. We'll preview his Saturday showdown with the Preakness champ next.
The graded stakes winning son of Bernardini is off to a sensational start at stud. Among the leading freshman sires by winners in graded stakes horses, his first crop 2-year-olds commanded prices up to 36 times his stud fee. Leading progeny include TD and Rising Star Recruiting Ready, 2nd in the Bashford Manor Stakes, and stakes place for former Junket. The pedigree, speed, and class to become the next star in this sensational sire line. Algorithms at Claiborne Farm.
Make NYRA your home for online horse racing and betting. Use NYRA to bet on live horse racing from around the world. Bet from anywhere, anytime using your computer or mobile device. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up at NYRABets.com and start earning your sign-up bonus today. NYRA racing's best play. Use promo code PICK5 to get a $200 new member sign-up bonus on NYRABets.com.
You're watching Saratoga Live on Fox Sports 2 and various regional outlets across the country. Thanks for being with us here on this Thursday afternoon as we get set for the starts of a late pick 4 sequence here at Saratoga. 1 1/8 in this allowance optional 80 race to start things off. Paul, Bellamy Way did have a win in the mud at Aqueduct, but then at Belmont later that year struggled in the mud against Weekend Hideaway, who we expected to see in the feature today, scratched out of that race. That was a tough group. But what do you make of him on the off track today?
Well, I mean, he's a player. You look at one race on his form, and it's the second race you see in the Excelsior. And he just did not fire that day. He was a little over 6-1, but every other time he really has tried hard. He's got a win over a wet surface. He's got a decent record without a win at Saratoga. But this is him getting the job done on July 21st. You cannot knock this race at all. Securities came back to run very, very average here on opening weekend. No, does he have to step it up? I don't really know. I mean, he runs this race, he's going to be ultra tough in here.
Yeah, what do you think, Andy? A repeat of this race good enough to win here today?
Yeah, Securitas didn't run an average race. I'm going to have to disagree with Paul. He got nailed at the wire and actually ran a tremendous race. He was against the track. He was outside. He's one that forced the pace with the overbet, the big fundamental. And I think Securitas came back. And now keep in mind, Securitas was coming off a layoff when he ran second to Bellamy Way. But the interesting thing to me is a couple of things. First of all, he's a better two-turn horse than he's a one-turn horse. So I actually think the Saratoga thing will help him. You pointed out his mud races. His win in the mud, he got a 79 buyer. His loss in the mud was a race that was one wire to wire. He got an 87 buyer. So he actually ran faster in speed figures in the race he lost. I think, Abby, he'll be in a good stalking spot. He likes the two turns. He's a very good horse. And I actually think he's an overlay at 5-2 right now.
The more I look at him, the more I like him, actually, because he's one of those more consistent types. In the Excelsior, you have to completely discount that race. I mean, he was chasing the pace. He doesn't want to go 1.25 miles. This is a more suitable distance for him. He was tactically positioned last time out. The pace did kind of fall apart in front of him, but he made the lead early, and he kept on going. So from that alone, I thought it was a pretty strong race. But we all know that one sloppy track to the next doesn't always translate.
Right. I think, though, his form shows that he can handle a wet track. I'm not saying he moves up on it or not, and I think he's running well. Lieutenant Colonel, I'm surprised at all the money he's taken. Now, he does have back races, but, I mean, Paul, you're more familiar with the horses out west. I don't see his recent form as being that good.
You know, it's average. You look at Danzig Candy, obviously a nice horse, accelerate what we saw. But Sawyer's Hill, when you're getting there on the turf, average. Follow Me, Krev is a dead closer. He's the type of horse that has to come from way back. And to be honest with you, Magic Mark, to me, was more of a sprinter. I thought his races, Andy, last year were way better than this year. And when, you know, I sort of read Jerry Hollendorf, when they start going bad, I start staying away from them.
But I will say one thing to that, Paul, is that today he does draw the rail post position, and there's not a lot of pace in here, so he probably could get the upper hand there. And last time out, if you go back and watch the replay, he didn't break well. He was on the outermost post position. He was wide going into the first turn. So a couple of those things were actually going against him, whereas that might help him today.
Well, that's a reasonable point. It's hard to see Tom's Day Tot, though, not pressing him early.
All right, Maggie, let's get some final thoughts from you here as we get set to load here for race 7.
I just want to touch on number 1, Lieutenant Colonel in here, Greg, a horse whom has only one race over a wet track. It was only his second start when he was kind of thrown into, well, the deep end of the pool, if you will, off of a maiden win at Gulfstream Park into the Gotham that time. And it was a muddy track that day. I'm willing to forgive him for it, because physically, he looks like a horse that would relish a little moisture in the track. He's of that kind of lighter, spindly frame, and he might be able to skip over the surface well. As Gabby was alluding to, there's not much pace in here. So could he, other than Bellamy Way, could he be a little bit, take an advantageous kind of route towards his inside and be the pace setter in here? We'll see. It's not as if the track is playing towards speed horses, that's for sure. But I just thought he was interesting, giving his physical makeup and getting on a wet track for only the second time in his career. And it's been a long time since he's been on one. Greg?
All right, Maggie, thanks. Yeah, speed in any race, extremely dangerous and drawn inside when the horse has to go. We know what the game plan is.
Yeah, you do, right? As you see our selections, yeah, there's one way to go. Junior's going to the front end. He's going to try to slow it down as much as he can. I would think Rosario tries to lay off, or Manuel Franco. I think that remains to be seen. You look at Far From Over, the 4 in here, and you look at a couple races where, you know, his first race, he won somewhat on the front end in slowish fractions. But when he came back off that layoff, he hit the front end pretty soon and was able to sustain that in 108 and change. So he can stay probably closer. I think after that last race, after his last couple of races, he's had trouble getting out of the gate. So I think forwardly, or at least try to get him forwardly placed early or get him involved early.
Off-track conditions here for this Thursday afternoon from Saratoga. This kicks off the late pick 4 sequence. We're up and over $300,000 in the pool. You can get down by getting signed up and started at NyraBets.com. Mile and an eighth on the main track, 6-5 favorite. The 2, Tom's D'Etat. Let's send it upstairs to the voice of the Triple Crown for the call, Larry Colmus.
And here's Far From Over moving into the starting gate. The last one will be Bellamy Way after Far From Over goes in. Even money right now on Tom's D'Etat, the favorite in this field of 5, who are now all in line, and we are ready for the start. They're off. A good beginning as Lieutenant Colonel is sent out of there. Tom's D'Etat, Far From Over, and Bellamy Way make it 4 in a line, and Bodhisattva is far behind them as they move into that first turn. Lieutenant Colonel on the inside. Tom's D'Etat goes right with Lieutenant Colonel. These two kick on from Far From Over. Bellamy Way has been taken to the inside by Manny Franco to be 4th here, 3.5 lengths off the lead, and it's 9 lengths to Bodhisattva. On to the backstretch, 23.43, a sharp opening quarter mile here for Lieutenant Colonel and Junior Alvarado. Tom's D'Etat is just a half length behind. Far From Over joins them 3 deep, and Bellamy Way keeps close company and runs along in 4th, 2.5 lengths off the lead, and 8 lengths ahead of Bodhisattva. Up the backstretch they go. Lieutenant Colonel on top. Tom's D'Etat second through a 47.52 half mile. Far From Over is 3rd on the outside of Bellamy Way, who's at the rail, as the first 4 continue to keep each other company with a half mile to go. Bodhisattva continues to lag far behind. Into the far turn. And now Tom's D'Etat runs for the lead. Tom's D'Etat has taken over. Lieutenant Colonel put to a ride, can't go on. As Far From Over moves up on the outside into second. Coming toward the top of the stretch. 3/4 in 1:12.36. Tom's D'Etat's got a 2-length lead. Far From Over's under a drive in second as Tom's D'Etat turns for home and comes wide. Bellamy Way 3rd, then Lieutenant Colonel and Bodhisattva. But it's all Tom's D'Etat here. Coming by the 8th pole with a 5-length lead. Far From Over is second, and they've left the others just reeling behind. Tom's D'Etat finishing strong here. Tom's D'Etat dominates his competition, winning it by 7 lengths over Far From Over. Bodhisattva was 3rd, and Bellamy Way was 4th, in a final time of 1 minute 51.33 seconds.
Well, this was a real spread out field in the end. Tom's D'Etat winds up winning for fun, Paul, at 4-5.
Well, you could see Joel Rosario had enough in the tank early. When Bellamy Way tried to sort of sneak up the rail a little bit, Lieutenant Colonel was having trouble get to the front end. I actually looked at you, and I'm like, wow, why are they going so fast? But Joel knew exactly what he was doing. He had this race well in hand. I think this is a good race from Far From Over. Considering the last 2, I thought he tried very hard here.
Winds up a good but distant second. This one was all about Tom's D'Etat. Picks up the 4th win in just 7 career starts. He just relished this off track. And early on, it was kind of interesting. Nobody wanted to let Lieutenant Colonel get too far away.
Yeah, it looked like that, right? I mean, when soon as Junior Alvarado broke, he went straight to the front end. But hey, listen, the 1, 2, 4, and 5 all were battling for the position. Manuel Franco was looking to try to get that position, and then Javier Castellano got Far From Over to the outside. But Tom's D'Etat was just too much.
Andy, it looks like this horse love to see rain in the future.
Yeah, he's a nice horse, I guess. You know, he hasn't run that many times, Gabby, but he's really run well in most of his starts. And you'd have to think, and obviously it's a wet track. You don't know how much that had to do with it. But an aggressive pace, as they pointed out, and I like the aggressive running. I have to think the connections look at this race, and they're thinking, let's see how the woodwork comes up towards the end of the meet. Why not? He loves Saratoga. Why not think about taking a shot in a big race like that?
Perhaps. You just have to question, really, what did he beat? I don't think Far From Over is the same horse that he used to be. This was a good race today, and he did go fast.
It's a fast race.
It is. It is. I'm not discounting this effort because he won going away, and he was close to that pretty hot pace. So, I don't know. We'll see.
2-4-3-5 finish in race 7 to kick off this late pick 4. By the way, the sun has peaked out, and it's a beautiful sunny Thursday afternoon now. We're going to take a break. Cloud Computing's Preakness win was trainer Chad Brown's first taste of Triple Crown glory. Now his star 3-year-old has the Jim Dandy in his sights. That's next.
This Saturday, Kentucky Derby winner Always Dreaming returns to the racetrack.
They're coming to the line, and the dream comes true. Always
ready to face the horse that ended his Triple Crown bid.
They come to the finish together. Noses apart. Cloud Computing.
Preakness winner Cloud Computing and Always Dreaming face off in the Jim Dandy Stakes. Catch all the action Saturday on Saratoga Live.
Back on Saratoga Live. Thanks for being with us here on this Thursday afternoon. We have this late pick 4 underway here at the spot. It was Tom's d'Etat for trainer Al Stahl, GMB Racing, and Joel Rosario dominating on the off conditions here in the 7th race at 1 1/8, returning $3.70.
Yeah, congratulations to Mr. Benson. This is a son of Smart Strike out of the Giants Causeway mare Julia Tuttle. Albert Stahl, he dropped one in for 16 on 3, got the W, and now Tom's d'Etat gets the job done for Joel Rosario. If you had that pick 3, not that bad, $65 and a little change you should give to the teller.
Yeah, absolutely, or maybe a little more than that too. Let's send it downstairs to Maggie standing by with a winning trainer.
Here with Al Stahl and Tom's d'Etat. Al, was it a product of having a bit of trouble 2 starts back when he wasn't on a sloppy track? Because today he floated over it.
Yeah, no question. It was a day, if Oaks Day was a speed track, everybody in their mind had speed, 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 and they went to that first turn like a cavalry charge, and he took the worst of it, and he went over some heels, and I was actually worried about, A, was it going to go down, or B, how he was going to pull up after it. And it didn't phase him, and I was actually proud of him the way he only got beat 2 lengths, because he could have easily backed out of there and got beat 10, 12 lengths. So that race set him up for the rest of his career, hopefully.
Right, and you have some big plans for the rest of his career.
Yeah, well, we're no more allowance conditions. We're going to roll the dice most probably and take a good long look at the Woodward.
Well, we'd really be looking forward to that. Will Mr. Benson make an appearance here?
He might. He's game. 90 years old, doesn't matter. He'll be here.
Well, Al, you also send out Flippin' the Bye in the next race. What can we expect from her?
She's training well. She's a trier. I'm a little worried about the going just because I'm just not sure. You know, it's always the first time on a soft turf. Where I race, we don't run on soft turf too often. You know, they take it off, we go to the main. So she's light, and she might go over the top of it, and that'd be nice.
What was the decision to keep her on the turf?
No races on the dirt.
That's always happening. Well, Al, best of luck with her in the next race, but congratulations with Tom DeTa. Powerful performance today.
Thank you.
Guys?
Wow, Tom's DeTa to the Woodward next. Maybe, look, it may not happen, but Rick Porter of Fox Hill Farms has mentioned Songbird potentially tackling boys in the Woodward.
Good call by Andy there. I'm with him. Why not take a shot? You're 2 for 2 at Saratoga, and with that line of trouble in the last race, you know, listen, he could have had 5 in a row, and I think Joel Rosario will keep the tack here for GMB Racing. And listen, this is a colt that is moving onward and upward.
Time for In Case You Missed It, and we kicked off the card on this Thursday with the jumpers. 2 1/16 miles over the jumps in the Grade 1 AP Smithwick Memorial Steeplechase. And the hot rider in these races, Michael Mitchell. He's taken both the jump races at the meet so far. Swansea Mile for trainer Richard Hendricks comes up with the shocking victory. His first Grade 1 win since 2004 with Trey Touche, and this horse returns almost $60 for the win.
Pretty cool stuff. Congratulations to Ross Bjorn Farm. How about this horse started a flat race last time at Parks in a 1.5 miles to set him up to go over the jumps, and the son of Dylan Thomas got the job done. Some happy connections. It was a fun race to watch as well.
And one of our superstar PAs, Liza Hendricks, was able to catch up with the winning rider Michael Mitchell after the victory.
First time at Saratoga, and I think I'm starting to like this track. It's proven very fortunate for me the last 2 starts. So I wasn't really expecting him to travel that well on this rain-affected ground. I thought he might just be a little bit slow, so just try to save as much energy for the straight, and had a lot of cover. And once he turned for home, he really accelerated away from them.
Look this way, please, folks. Look this way.
Well, tremendous victory right there for Swansea Mile, the 7-year-old by Dylan Thomas with the win. I want to remind everybody the Naira Bets late pick 5 at Saratoga. It's exclusively available for Naira Bets customers, New York on-track bettors, and those wagering with the New York simulcasting facility. So if you do not reside in the state of New York, the only way to play this wager is to get signed up and started with NairaBets.com. There have been massive overlays in this play.
And there you see the follow along. It's got to be a hunch play not too far away. About a month away. Our pretty boy Floyd will be fighting Conor McGregor. Got the job done. Old California horse. I think he's going to play a lot tougher than that $12 in Tom DeTa. So I know you've gotten looks a little short in the front end of it, but I think it's going to pay a little bit more. You got to get some more prices now in a little evenly matched field. They're betting 3 horses in here.
Well, of course, this weekend, for the first time ever, we're going to have the Kentucky Derby winner against the Preakness winner in the Jim Dandy. It's the first time that's happened at Saratoga since the Travers back in 1991. That was Strike the Gold and Hansel going head-to-head, and interesting, neither of those two actually won that race. It's the rematch that, yes, everyone has been waiting for. With more, let's go to Gabby.
Thanks, Greg. Well, looking at the field in the Saturday's Jim Dandy, it's going to be an interesting one. Of course, we have Always Dreaming, given the rail post position. We've got Cloud Computing just to his outside. From that standpoint, it's going to be an interesting one from a tactical standpoint, but also given the Preakness winner and the Derby winner coming back on the same stage in the Jim Dandy this weekend also makes it a historic one.
Well, I think it's great for the fans, first of all. A real treat for everyone that's going to come out to Saratoga to watch the race. And I think it's a testament to both horses.
Witnessing both the Kentucky Derby and Preakness winners on the same stage at Saratoga is rare. But that's exactly what we'll get this Saturday in the Grade 2 Jim Dandy.
It's good for the fans. It's good for everybody here to enjoy, to see the best 3-year-old in the country to compare each other.
Always Dreaming dazzled in the Derby.
Comes true. Always Dreaming has won the Kentucky Derby.
As impressive as Always Dreaming was in the Derby, the same horse didn't show up in Baltimore for the Preakness.
I knew that in the backstretch, you know, like I was telling Todd after the race, like I know in the backstretch when Julian's horse got to me and right before the 5-8 bullet and he didn't put it fight, I was worried then. By the half of my pull, 3-8 pull, I knew it. I didn't have the same horse.
Always Dreaming didn't put up a fight, while Cloud Computing came out swinging.
To the finish together, noses apart. Cloud Computing has defeated Classic Empire in the Preakness.
That was an unbelievable experience for me and my whole team, the owners, everyone involved. You know, real special moment. And, you know, once you get a taste of that Triple Crown and you have some success in it, it drives you to want to do it again. And you know, thankfully we've gained a lot of experience too.
It was an amazing race. The way it performed my horse and the way everything developed, it was a perfect trip.
Saturday's Jim Dandy will be the first time the two classic winners face off since the Preakness.
It's always a delicate balance when you're trying to freshen a horse up and have them ready for a race like the Jim Dandy. You know, you have to be fit and prepared for it, but you also want to hopefully have something to build on and something, you know, left in the tank for the Travers. So, you know, I think we've been able to accomplish that in the time off that we've had since the Preakness.
Yeah, he's a good breeze horse in the morning, and that hasn't changed since the Preakness. He continues to train very well. He looks like he's coming into this race in really good shape. I'm optimistic he's going to run really good. But more than that, I'm hoping that he uses this race to run even better in the Travers. That's the hope anyway.
This race is a prep. It's obviously an important race, $600,000 race. Derby and Preakness winners squaring off. It's Pletcher against Chad Brown. I mean, it's got everything going for it, but it's still a prep for the Travers. Still, I think Cloud Computing is going to be extraordinarily tough to beat.
I think he's going to be tough to beat because of the presence of Pavel in here and how that might affect Always Dreaming. Obviously, Always Dreaming, he's going to be forwardly placed. Pavel, though, stretching out from 6.5 furlongs, the way he showed speed early in the race for Doug O'Neill out west, I think it's going to put a little bit of he's going to put serious pressure on Always Dreaming.
I don't think he's going to put pressure on him. I think he's going to be clear in the lead. Always Dreaming rated when he won the Florida Derby. It's not as though the good Always Dreaming needs to be loose in the lead. And he didn't exactly blaze out front in the Derby. He was involved in the pace. And I don't think that Todd and John Velasquez have any interest in getting burned up inside of a speed duel with Pavel. So they're going to look to let him go and then establish outside of him. It's not like Cloud Computing is a slow horse. I mean, Cloud Computing was only 2 lengths behind the pace that was being set by Classic Empire. He's not slow. It's going to be a great matchup. I don't see Cloud Computing losing, though.
Yeah, Paul, tactically, I mean, it's going to be fascinating to see what does happen early on in this race, being that it is just a 5-horse field, and you do have that new shooter in Pavel. I agree with what Andy said. I don't think John Velasquez is going to be under any kind of impetus to try and run with that horse.
No, I don't think so. At one start, I think you worry. If Pavel wires you, you give him the salute. It's called the tip of the cap. That's exactly what happens.
Oh, remember what happened last year? Lauban, Eric Guillot shocked everybody at 27-1. We had some big name runners in that race last year as well. Could we be in for a shocker again? We'll find out on Saturday. We're going to have live coverage. Most networks from 5 to 6:30 joining us on Saturday for the Kentucky Derby winner against the Preakness winner in the Jim Dandy. We're going to take a break in the action. We'll talk more tactics with John Velasquez on Always Dreaming in Saturday's Showdown when we come back.
Undefeated in sprint competition, Eclipse champion Run Happy captured 3 Grade 1 victories and set blistering speed records at both Keeneland and Saratoga. In the Breeders' Cup Sprint, he dominated the world's fastest runners, going 6 furlongs in a record-breaking 108 and change. The only horse nominated for 3 Eclipse Awards, Run Happy was crowned champion male sprinter, all the while racing 100% drug-free. Champion, millionaire, record-breaker, Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
And they're off. NyraBet's Pick 5 is now available exclusively online at NyraBets.com. Bet the NyraBet's Pick 5 every race day with a 15% takeout on the last 5 races on the card from the country's best racing at Belmont and Saratoga. Find it nationwide on NyraBets.com right in the Bet Type drop-down menu or at any Nyra track or New York OTB location. NyraBet's Pick 5, racing's best bet.
You're watching Saratoga Live on Fox Sports 2. That is a look at Gypsum Johnny. He'll go postward in the feature in the John Morrisey, trying to follow in the footsteps of his daddy, City Zip, who just passed away earlier this week on Tuesday. Of course, City Zip swept the 2-year-old stakes back in 2000, one of just 4 ever to accomplish that. He did that for trainer Linda Rice, who also trains Gypsum Johnny. Linda Rice was asked how it would feel to win this Morrisey with a City Zip.
It would be tremendous. You know, I've trained quite a few City Zips. I have Hot City Girl, Motor City Mama, Metro Meteor, Canadian Ballet. So I've had a lot of fun with his prodigy. So that would make it especially sweet. He was unbelievable. He won the Tremont at Belmont. He won all 3 2-year-old stakes here at Saratoga. An exciting edition of the Hopeful with a dead heat with Yanaguska. And he was a tremendous 2-year-old, best 2-year-old I've ever trained, and was a lot of fun to have in the barn.
Well, it was incredible what he accomplished during his 2-year-old campaign here at Saratoga. He was the 4th horse ever to sweep the Sanford, the Saratoga Special, and the Hopeful here at this meet.
And he won the Amsterdam, too. I think a lot of people forget that at age 3. He was ultra fast. You look at some of the runners that he ran against, Yanaguska, Macho Uno, Song in the Prayer. They don't get faster. In fact, he was 3rd to Squirtle Squirt in the King's Bishop. That is now the Alan Jerkins. And I think a lot of people don't realize when he went in the stud, I don't think they realized that he was going to be this good. He had some really nice runners. Catch a Glimpse, Day of the Spa, and Palace, just to be a few of them. And I think what surprised a lot of people, being a son of Carson City, he was able to get horses to go a distance of ground. He was very versatile, and they could run on all surfaces.
He passed away on Tuesday at the age of 19 from chronic foot issues. Linda Rice, who of course was City Zip's trainer as well, she said she got one last chance to see him when she was at the Breeders' Cup with Sheila Rosenblum to run La Verdad in that Breeders' Cup back in 2015. She said that was kind of emotional for her, and a horse who really meant a lot to this industry as a whole.
Really did. And he was a big part of the New York industry for the longest time.
Race 8, we're at 5.5 furlongs on the turf. An allowance optional 80 field coming up in the 6-horse Blue Bahia for trainer Jason Service. 6 for 12 lifetime. All 6 of those wins on the grass. Co-favored right now with a 5 Ava's Kitten for Chad Brown.
Really sharp is Blue Bahia. Claimed 2 starts back for $30,000. Jason Stucker in a nice little mini stakes race called the Blue Sparkler at Monmouth and got the job done. 3rd place finisher came back to win. Blue Bahia scratched out of the stakes race the other day for this spot. Probably an easier spot. That's why she's your favorite.
Oh, there's 3 horses at 2-1 on the board. Another Chad Brown runner on the outside. Ancient Secret is as well, with more on that 4-year-old filly. Let's go to Maggie.
I know Polly likes Ancient Secret, and I'm a big fan as well. With this turn back in distance, I remember questioning her all last year as she continued to be able to get a distance over a mile when she won the Lake George. That was my biggest problem with her, as I was concerned about her getting a mile and a 16th. Well, after several mile attempts, she does turn back to this 5.5 furlong. Look, she's built to be a sprinter to me, and I like what I'm seeing from her here in the paddock. I've liked what I've seen from her all year now as a 4-year-old. She hasn't necessarily put it forth on the racetrack. I think this is the wake-up call. This is the distance she should be running at. Moving on to some new faces as far as new faces to New York. One of them is number 1, Blip in the Bye, as we did get to speak to Al Stahl for only her 2nd try on the turf. He feels as though she likes the turf. It's just a question of will she like a course with Given It. And I see what he's saying. She is a smaller, handier type. She looks fantastic overall, as Al's horses tend to. So I wouldn't say, looking at her, that she'd have a problem with this course. We'll see how she does for her only 2nd turf try here in this 8th. Next, we'll check in with one that might be a price that comes in from out of town as well, and that's number 7, Rocky Policy. For Dale Capuano, have the utmost respect for this Maryland horseman, and this filly looks fantastic. And I know she 2 and 3 starts back, she tried going long. She was successful over the synthetic surface, but she does look like a sprinter to me. She looks like the quintessential turf sprinter overall. And great coat to her. She's dappled head to toe. Just really, as a horse shipping in from Maryland, she really ticks all the boxes for me. While riders are up, we'll get a quick comment from Andy and Gabby over on the set.
Well, this is an interesting race because you have the 2 Chad Brown runners, and you've also got an interesting horse coming in from Monmouth that's going to be tough. Ancient Secret. I actually think that she's run okay lately, but just running against some very tough horses. And she has run reasonably well going shorter in her career. How concerned are you, Gabby, with the 5.5 furlongs?
I like it. I love the cutback in distance for her, to be honest, Andy, just because if you go back to when she ran against Stakes Company last time out, A, I thought it was a very good race, and B, watching the replay, she had every opportunity to pass other horses coming down the stretch. And what did she do? She switched leads, and she started to fade. To me, watching that visual, it appears that she wants less distance.
Well, we'll see. I mean, she's run well going longer, and she had some excuses in her last race and also faced some good horses. She's okay. I do know that Chad Brown's other horse, Ava's Kitten, can handle the sprint distances, as she's shown in the past. Her race here last year was okay. She ran even better than the Christie Cat when she was part of a pace that primarily came back. I didn't love her one race 2017. She didn't break that well. It was disappointing. We'll talk about her a little bit more later.
Brown with 2 fillies in the race. They're both on the board at 2-1, but neither of them favored right now. That's the 6, Blue Bahia, for Jason Service, who is by a slight margin the top choice on the board. We start off with the 1, Blip in the Buy for trainer Al Stahl, who just won race 7. Julian Leperoux rides.
She's had only the 1 turf sprint, and that was down at Fairgrounds against lesser horses. She didn't run that badly that day, but she'd really have to step it up to beat these.
George Weaver sends out the 2, Stormy Sky Era Cancel aboard.
Looks like she might have tailed off on the dirt in the past 3 starts since the comeback. She hasn't tried the turf in quite some time and will need to drastically improve.
And she's tried it twice. She's not hit the board in either of those tries. Here is Seeking Paradise, a graduate of the Fasig-Tipton Sales, a daughter of Blame for Joe Sharp.
2 starts back actually ran very well on a yielding going at Belmont. Could like a little give in the ground.
Ava's Kitten, the first of 2 in the race for trainer Chad Brown. Javier Castellano aboard, the daughter of Kitten's Joy.
She would have to run back to her very best races to win if either or both the 6 and 8 show up.
Here is the 6, Blue Bahia. She's won half of her career start. She's 6 for 8 on the turf for Jason Service.
Also comes out of back-to-back victories. Jason Service having a good meet so far. Blue Bahia, I think, is the horse to beat.
Kendrick Carmouche filling in for Jose Ortiz on the 7, Rocky Policy for Dale Capuano.
Appears to be overmatched. Has run okay in some turf sprints, but this is a tough spot.
And here is last year's Grade 2 Lake George winner for Chad Brown, cutting back in distance, Ancient Secret with Irad Ortiz Jr.
A very talented filly, actually started her career off sprinting. We'll see if she has success on the turnback.
That is a field for race 8 here, 5.5 furlongs on the turf. We'll be back to show it to you live. We're going to step aside for a quick timeout. You're watching Saratoga Live. We'd love to hear what's trending from you out there. Hashtag Saratoga Live to get social with us on the show. We'll be back.
Eclipse Award winner Blame retired to stud with more than $4.3 million in earnings, including a historic victory over Zenyatta in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Now he's making a name for himself as an internationally successful stallion. In 2017, his top runners include stakes winner No Fault of Mine, Japanese star Resonator, and classic winner Singa, the dominant victor of this year's Grade 1 French Oaks, Blame at Claiborne Farm.
Make NyraBets your home for online horse racing and betting. Use NyraBets to bet on live horse racing from around the world. Bet from anywhere, anytime using your computer or mobile device. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up at NyraBets.com and start earning your sign-up bonus today. NyraBets, racing's best play. Use promo code PICK5 to get a $200 new member sign-up bonus on NyraBets.com.
We're back on Saratoga Live. Good to have you with us on this Thursday afternoon here on Fox Sports 2. Always wear your best out of the track. We had a hat contest on opening weekend, but they're welcome anytime when you come to Saratoga Meet. 250,000 point all split. Want to remind you, keep playing with Naira bets after the Saratoga card's over. That's a Del Mar where you can have that 250,000 point all split. Just bet a $10 base exacta in race 5 at Del Mar and win or lose. Split 250,000 points. An easy way to get your Del Mar betting off to a great start. Find all the information at nairabets.com. 5 minutes to post here in the 8th coming up. Let's send it down to Maggie for more.
And looking at your current 9-5 favorite going out for the Jason Service Barn, that's Blue Bahia. Look, she does look like a turf sprinter, but she's definitely not the standout in this crowd. She's a bit on the smaller side, and I'm usually enthralled with Jason Service trainees. It's just food for thought, given a horse that's going to be a very short price. She does like to win, but though I always respect that. Now, moving on to one that has shown that she can handle a kind of horse with yielding conditions or good conditions is number 4, Seeking Paradise for Joe Sharp. She won 2 starts back going the 6 furlongs, coming off of that long layoff, and I was questioning how fit she was that day, and she still got the job done. I do think that she does look more fit this time. Now, she's acting up a little bit on the backside, but boy, she looked absolutely fantastic as she galloped off away from the pony underneath Luis Saez, and now she's back into the bridle again, moving forward. Like to see that, and maybe this filly is going to look for something to collapse on the front end and will be able to fire, getting back on the turf for her connections. And we'll throw it back over to Gabby and Andy, taking a look at Ava's Kitten. Guys, she was certainly revved up. She typically is, but she got very hot as she made her way out into the track.
You know, Gabby, I just wondering where you stand. I'm ambivalent. She can win, but I prefer the others.
I didn't really see her take that next step turning back in distance. I mean, she was actually running pretty well, I thought, going a distance of ground or at least a flat mile against 3-year-olds last year. But ever since then, when they cut her back in distance, I don't know. She's been okay. I'm more interested in other fillies. I will say, though, it does appear that she's had success on a turf that had a little bit of give in it, so that could help her.
Well, I think she ran fine, actually, in the sprints. I just think she might be meeting tougher horses in the 6 and 8, though I think her race in the Christie Cat was good. I'm concerned that her one race this year at 7, she was a little bit dull. Slow pace or not, she didn't run well. Now, as far as the 6, Blue Bahia, she looks like she's the controlling speed, and she won last time having to rate, and she found a seam. She was impressive off the claim for service.
I completely agree. It was a very strange performance last time out. It looked like she broke on top, then Paco took her back inside, and she had to split horses, so it was a very game race being taken out of her preferred running style.
I agree, and today she's supposed to be running the preferred riding style. And Jason Service is very good off the claim with turf sprinters, Greg.
Yes, he is, and this one is just an absolute win machine, Paul. 6 for 8 on the grass. She comes in off back-to-back wins, but this is certainly going to be one of the tougher fields, if not the toughest she's faced.
Yes, it is. That last effort that we just saw right there just showed me all I need to know that makes her the favorite. She was able to rate, just like Gabby said, and she broke well. Paco took her back immediately after that race, and she just finished with a flourish.
It's taking more money, down to 8-5 right now on Blue Bahia, trying to make it a 3-race win streak. Can she keep it going here in this 8th at Saratoga? We're about to find out here in a moment. Welcome to Saratoga Live. It's presented by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. It's turned into a beautiful, sunny Thursday afternoon here at the spa as we get set for the 8th race coming up. It's a 5.5 furlong turf sprint. Our feature race 9, that is the John Morrisey, loaded with talents. That will be next, contested over the main track. You can play along from home as you watch these races we bring you here on Saratoga Live. Bet 200, and you get 200 in your account by using the promo code Pick 5. Go to NyraBets.com where you can get signed up all across the country to take advantage of that promo of $200 in your accounts. Greg Wolf alongside former New York Met, Los Angeles Dodger, Paul LaDuca, as we get set here for the 8th coming up. They're making their way, Paul, here onto this turf course. And you're going to stick here with one of the 2 Chad Brown runners, the 8 Ancient Secret.
Yeah, I like Ancient Secret. I do love the cutback. The 5 in here, Ava's Kitten, I think she has to run a little bit better. I agree with Gabby and Andy. The one thing I do love about Ava's Kitten, the Kitten's Joys, they love just a tiny bit of cut in the ground. I got tired, actually sick and tired of them beating me on yielding turf courses. They just love it. So I included her. I do think the 6 and 8 are the horses to beat, but just because of a little bit of the rain, and she's got to win over the surface, I'll include the 5. But I do think the 8 Ancient Street on the cutback can stay close enough. Blue Bahia is going to be very interesting. One from off the pace last time, but is very tactical. Does Paco take the initiative, her rider, Paco Lopez?
Well, here's, of course, the other Chad Brown runner in here in this one right now. The more highly regarded of the 2. The 5-horse Ava's Kitten is the other. But this horse still has some questions to answer in here. Certainly we know she's talented, but is she as effective at 5.5?
Remains to be seen. It really does. I mean, if you look back at her races, she won or broke her maiden at 6 furlongs. She came back at 7 furlongs. She came right back. All of her one-turn races, she basically won. She went to the Lake George 2-turn race. She won. Obviously, something went amiss up in Canada. She really has not run bad. I point to the race 3 back that Gabby pointed about a little bit earlier, the Pebbles. That race over there, the internal fractions of that race, she made somewhat of a middle move, and then she stopped. That middle move will be right here at 5.5 furlongs.
And Andy, whether you like Blue Bahia or not, if you are even backing this horse, you can't like 6 to 5. That's an awfully short price.
No, I agree. I'm surprised, and Gabby and I was talking about it. It seems like she's taking all the money. Is it a knock, almost a negative on the 2 Chad Brown runners? She is the lone speed, and sometimes on courses to have some give in it. And there's going to be some give. I don't think it's in bad shape, but some give. Maybe it helps speed. Still, I am surprised that she is this short a price, Gabby.
I'm very surprised. She's a win machine, Andy. She comes out of a very impressive performance last time out. She's versatile, although I don't think she's going to have to use that tactic today or that attribute because I do think she's going to be the lone speed. But when you see a horse bet like this, it kind of makes you want to get creative too. I kind of liked the 4 Seeking Paradise in here. I thought that she was okay on a turf with a little bit of give in it. She's only had 2 starts on it. One she won. The other one was going against Lady Shipman when she was in her prime.
Yeah, but she's going to have to run better, I think, to beat horse. She's a big price if you like her. You're supposed to bet her, but she's good. She beat an inferior field to these with a very, very good trip, and also favorable dynamics that day where the pace kind of fell apart. And unless you're just against the 6, the pace may be tough to break in this race.
Blue Bahia for Jason Service, trying to make it 3 consecutive victories. Let's send it upstairs for the call of race 8 to the voice of New York Racing, Larry Colmus.
Blue Bahia maintains favoritism here at 6 to 5 as she steps up into the starting gate. Rocky Policy will come up next, and the 5 to 2 second choice right now, Ancient Secret. With the Rod Ortiz Jr. looking for win number 3 today, will be the last one to go in. Ancient Secret steps forward and goes in. They're all in line. They're off. Stormy Sky at a tangled beginning. Blue Bahia came out very well alongside of Rocky Policy. Ancient Secret and Blip and a Bye are on the pace too. And now Blip and a Bye sent through on the inside by Julian Leparoux to take the lead. They open up the lead by a length. Rocky Policy is running in second. Blue Bahia is in between horses. Seeking Paradise is down on the inside. Ancient Secret lays 5th just off them. Then it's Ava's Kitten and Stormy Sky left behind after a 22.74 first quarter. Blip and a Bye on top by a neck on the far turn from Rocky Policy. Ancient Secret driving up on the far outside. Blue Bahia's in behind horses while on the rail is Seeking Paradise. Ava's Kitten's going to have to come outside. They're into the stretch. And on the outside, Rocky Policy is up to grab a narrow lead here. Ancient Secret on the far outside. Blue Bahia needs a spot behind horses. Ava's Kitten's finishing well on the far outside. Then it's Blip and a Bye and Seeking Paradise. Final furlong here. Rocky Policy. Here's Ava's Kitten. It's down to these two, and checking late was Ancient Secret. Ava's Kitten in front on the wire. Over Rocky Policy, Ancient Secret, Blue Bahia, and a final time of 1 minute, 3.44 seconds.
Well, she'd done it before. She'd won it 5.5 furlongs on the grass. In fact, she did it at this very meet last summer. Avis Kitten with Javier Castellano for Chad Brown gets the win.
Rocky Policy and Kendrick Carmouche. I'm going to see if there's anything going on here. Look at the front end, the 7 right here in front. Watch towards the outside, the 2 stablemates. That's why there might not be an inquiry here. Watch the Ramsey colors on the complete outside. Does he come in a little bit? Javier Castellano? No, it's more of the 7 Rocky Policy. Tiny bit coming out, so maybe the stewards are going to take a look at that. But again, I pointed to this right before the race. These Kittens Joy, they smell rain, whether there's any kind of give or not. They love running over any kind of turf that has some cutting it. Again, look at this again. Andy, is this enough to take a look at? The 8's starting to swap leads, but he definitely has to pull up.
Oh, the 7 should come down, in my opinion, Paul. I think it clearly cut in front of her.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see how you can say it didn't affect it. I don't know, but they never take anything down around here. We'll see how far she was in front. You know, it did feel a little like Ancient Secret wasn't handling it that well. She just didn't seem to accelerate, Gabby.
She didn't, but we were talking about her lead switch coming down the lane, and that was something that she was doing when she was going longer distances. Now, I think the scenario today was that the 7 Rocky Policy was coming over on her, but Andy, what did you think about the ride on Blue Bahia? Because when you have a filly that has, in my opinion, when you have a horse that has that much speed on a turf the way that it is today, don't you want to utilize that early speed?
I couldn't possibly agree more with you, Gabby. Shocking, the tactics on the 6. Now, were they intimidated, thinking his race is going to fall apart a little bit? Rating her worked last time out. I'm stunned that they didn't send the 6 the lead in this race. And then she ended up getting sort of caught between horses. This was a much tougher field than the one she faced last time out, and they didn't use her speed to her advantage. There's an inquiry, and I mean, Paul, you pointed out right away, if anything, the 7 did it. The 7's the one who cut over. They have to decide whether it affected the finish, guys.
Yeah, I'm with you. This probably is a no-brainer, and you guys make a great point. Both of you downstairs with Blue Bahia. I looked at you, and I said, there's no way. There's no way, first of all, she could outfinish the 8 coming out of mile races when she got stuck behind. She's supposed to be laying in that second slot. Paco Lopez is supposed to know, listen, Chad Brown horses finish. If I'm not in front of them going in the top of the lane, I am not beating them.
Giving away your best chance to win the race certainly was interesting in here. It was Blipping by the 1 who was out in front all alone by herself on the front end. But again, the inquiry and objection sign is up. Stewards taking a look at the 7 Rocky Policy, and did Kendrick Carmouche come over on the 8 Ancient Secret? So that is what is being looked at and will be talked about here, Andy.
Yeah, what I think we want to see is we'd like to see the pan shot, because we know the 7 came over and we'll watch it, but I think what we need to see is how clear was the 7 when she came over, because it did feel like Avis Kitten, who only got up to win by about a head, seemed to have the momentum outside of Ancient Secret. And if you're going to take the 7 down, don't you sort of say the 8 was going to win? And I never felt like she was going to win.
Well, regardless, I mean, Irad Ortiz, who was aboard Ancient Secret, still had to stop riding, so obviously it did impact her trip. And the thing about the Rocky Policy and Kendrick Carmouche, we can see here right now, they're both closing from off of the pace. I do think it impacted her trip.
I think he was an acting job, because he's sick and tired of them not taking horses down after his brother didn't get put up on a late when he got fouled by...
No, she had momentum.
I'm going to tell you, I'm not saying the 7 come over, and maybe when Gabby disagrees with me, Paul, you can cast a deciding vote. I think the 7 may have been clear.
This is a tough call, because, you know, sometimes we watch horses when they get to the outside. I want both of your opinion on this. Did it look like the 8 was dead, but when the 5 came to the outside, she sort of accelerated again, and maybe the stewards might think, okay, the 8 started hanging a little bit, but when the other horse on the pan view came to the outside, I thought she sort of re-rallied a little bit, no?
That's a fair question. If we could watch the pan 1 or 2 more times, maybe we could get an idea of it. I don't know. It's a little bit tricky. Kendrick Carmouche, I don't want him to get taken down. He's the first guest of my show at the Post Live tonight. I don't want him to be in a bad mood when he shows up, though. Kendrick's always in a good mood. If we could see them in the stretch in the pan, let's take a slow look at it. It feels like he's about a length and a quarter, length and a half clear at this point. Is that fair?
I would say that.
I'm just wondering. Now you're saying, Paul, maybe she rallies a little bit when the 5 comes to her?
Yeah, tougher there now.
Tough. You know, I'm not against it coming down. I'm not sure, though, the 7 wasn't clear. Because here's my argument. My argument is the 5 narrowly got by the 7, and she has so much more momentum than the 8.
He makes a good point there, Andy.
Well, we'll see what happens with Ancient Secret, the other Chad Brown runner, but we know this much. Ava's Kitten gets him the victory. Chad Brown standing by with Maggie right now.
Certainly the clear-cut winner of this 8th race, Chad, was Ava's Kitten, a filly that likes it here at the Spa.
She does. Once again, she won at this 5.5 furlong distance here. Thought Javier rode a great race and just kept her back off the pace. We talked about that in the paddock, and he executed it beautifully, and she got up just in time.
And something that Kitten's Joys, they seem to like the little bit of moisture in a turf track. Were you confident?
I was. For her, I knew she wouldn't mind it. Little cut in the ground, it all worked out. And like you said, you know, once a horse establishes they like Saratoga, it never leaves them.
I want to know one thing. Where's Ava? She's always here when Ava's Kitten runs.
Once you'll find out with your little one, when they turn 9 and they're with their friends and they have a choice, they're with their friends. So that's okay. I'm sure they're all watching at home. But, you know, as they grow up, you know, that's how it goes.
And real quick with Ancient Secret, obviously we don't know if she's going to be 2nd or 3rd, but do you feel as though she is more of a sprinter? Will you keep her at this kind of distance?
I think so. Now that she's gotten a little older, you know, it's funny, last year she won the Lake George at a mile of 16th, and the horses change, and this year it doesn't seem like she wants to run that far. Irad gave me some good feedback last race and said, why don't you cut her back a little further? She seems like that's what she wants to do now, and I think she's found a home there. 2nd best today. She'll get her win here.
She was 2nd. They disqualified number 7, so congratulations, you get the exacta here.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
All right, Greg, back to you.
So Chad Brown's Ancient Secret, as that interview is taking place, moved up to 2nd. Rocky Policy, the 7-horse, ruled interference, taken down, and moved to 3rd. 5-8-7-6, new order of finish. And Paul, you agree with that call?
I thought it was a 50-50 call. I'm going to say yes. I think the horse won the race that should have won the race, was the best, Ava's Kitten.
Ava's Kitten the win. Chad Brown winds up running 1-2 after the DQ. We're going to take a break in the action. Next up, he's the 4-time reigning Eclipse winner, his outstanding jockey, Javier Castellano. His story when we come back.
And they're off. NyraBet's Pick 5 is now available exclusively online at NyraBets.com. Bet the NyraBet's Pick 5 every race day with a 15% takeout on the last 5 races on the card from the country's best racing at Belmont and Saratoga. Find it nationwide at NyraBets.com, right in the Bet Type drop-down menu, or at any Nyra track or New York OTB location. NyraBet's Pick 5, racing's best bet.
Selected sales, superior results. Success starts at Saratoga, the #1 ranked yearling sale in North America.
Eclipse Award-winning Songbird was bought at Saratoga Fasig-Tipton. Where will you be this August?
Eclipse champion Stellar Wind is a Fasig-Tipton Saratoga grad. Where will you be this August?
The Fasig-Tipton Saratoga sale, August 7th and 8th. Where will you be?
Change the way you watch racing forever with the new Nyra Now app. Live racing in English or Spanish from a variety of camera angles, race replays, talking horses, race analysis, and a multitude of on-demand content, all in high definition. Nyra Now is available on many platforms, including iOS, Android, Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and more coming soon. Download Nyra Now today, free in the App Store, and start watching the best racing like never before.
You're watching Saratoga Live on Fox Sports 2. Ava's Kitten takes the 8th at Saratoga, and via DQ, Chad Brown winds up running 1-2 in the race.
Yeah, Ancient Street originally was 5-7-8. Ancient Street put up to second via DQ as Rocky Policy came out there late and stretched. But congratulations to the Ramsey, Ken and Sarah. Ken's Joy Philly the Pulpit Mare reached for the heavens. Now 4 for 12 lifetime to start off that late pick 4. You're going to get about a $16 doubles. And to start off that Naira Bets pick 5, $52 for that pick 3.
Not bad. Our feature still to come. That is the John Morrisey coming up this weekend, though. It is the dream matchup of a lifetime here. Our Kentucky Derby winner, Always Dreaming, going against Preakness winner, Cloud Computing, head-to-head one more time as we take a look here at what's trending. We'll get to that matchup in a moment, but this is even going to have a lot more people fired up. Andy Serling is signed on to participate in the dunk tank on Saturday at Saratoga, 1-3 to benefit the PDJF fund. That line is going to be out the door.
By the way, I have a PDJF Fund wristband. Andy, I have been long tossing already. I am debating whether I am going to break out my catcher's gear and get in a stance and just pretend like I'm throwing somebody out at second.
I got to tell you, that's a little unfair. I mean, I think no professional baseball players are allowed to try to dunk me. I'm happy to take on the world, but I think that's a little unfair. Just so people know, I'm not going to be in the dunk tank for 2 hours. I'm actually doing it at 1 o'clock and doing it for about 15 or 20 minutes. But, you know, if you can have a little fun, go ahead.
Due to overwhelming response, I think you might have to stay for the full 2 hours.
No, but thank you for that, Greg.
And there's a line to Albany trying to get there.
Right. Listen, you know, I mean, it's a great cause, and I just think, though, it's $10 a throw. I think they should raise it to $50 a throw for me.
Yeah,
People would
agree
pay
with
it.
you. People would definitely pay that and more.
I agree, and it's a good cause, so why shouldn't you pay more? So I think people should go up and say, maybe they should have, like, the line 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, and go to the one that gets the most people, and I think 50's a lock.
I'm buying a 10-pack. Again, all proceeds go to the Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund, so that happens on Saturday. Back to what's trending, and, of course, it is that big showdown between Always Dreaming and Cloud Computing. I sent this out earlier on Twitter. Who wins? The Jim Dandy and Cloud Computing by 42%, people believe is going to get the job done on Saturday.
I'm with them. I'm with the general public at 42%. They're still giving the Derby runners some love. So the rest of the runners, I think the most interesting one, and I think the bottom of the side, the set will agree, is Good Samaritan. We'll take a look at Pavel. And this horse was impressive first time out. Now, who did he beat? He did not beat much. Little Juanito is a Victor Garcia runner that's done this a lot, where he looks like he's in front and going to win the race and somewhat doesn't. Now, on this day, Pavel's in front, is going to go. Little Juanito runs second, but that's probably his third or fourth second. He seems like he runs a big one, but he was no match to the son of Creative Cause. And you know, the O'Neills, the Redhams, they love to take shots. They're not afraid to throw horses into big races. And can he throw in a monkey wrench? I think Andy hit the nail on the head. I think they let Pablo go, does the Always Dreaming's connections. If he's able to win the Jim Dandy in his second career start against the Kentucky Derby winner and the Preakness winner, like I said before, tip your cap.
Well, Andy, Doug O'Neill has said they think a lot of him. That's why they're bringing him here. But if nothing else, he's certainly going to make this pace a lot different than what we would have expected if he was not in the race.
Yeah, no, I think it makes the race more interesting. I'll be shocked if he's effective in here. I think Giuseppe Great's going to run second this race, beating a cold 2-3.
Well, to talk about Pavel a little bit more, Doug O'Neill actually really, really likes this horse. He said watching him train in the morning kind of reminds him of I'll Have Another. And he actually didn't think that he could potentially win first time out because he's a horse that wants a little bit more distance. So the fact that he took pressure from 2 other horses and won that impressively, I don't think he's going to win, Andy. It's not a concern to me. I do think he's going to be the pace pressure, or he's going to be the pace of the race. But don't you think it'll take a little bit of wind out of Always Dreaming sails having to be on the chase?
No, not if Always Dreaming is the good horse that he was down in Florida.
What if he's not?
But if he's not winning this race anyway. He's got to be at the top of his game to beat Cloud Computing regardless. I don't think he's going to be in some sort of all-out chase, chasing Pavel through these super fast fractions. I'm going to guess they'll go 24, 48-ish, something like that. I don't think Cloud Computing will be far behind. I don't see Pavel winning. But I can't think if you like Always Dreaming this race, you're supposed to be overly concerned about Pavel. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, you got a Hall of Fame rider in John Velasquez on the Derby winner, too. He's not going to get caught into chasing a horse who's setting insane fractions up front, who's making the second start of their career.
I wouldn't think so. Gabby makes some good points. I know Doug loves this horse. I actually think Creative Causes is going to end up being a pretty solid sire. It's just a tough task to ask in his second career start. That's my worry.
He was asking a lot of Cloud Computing to do what he did in the Preakness, making just the fourth start of his career. But second start of your career, facing the Derby and Preakness winner, that is a real tall order. Of course, Javier Castellano, another huge win in the Preakness on Cloud Computing. He's ridden some of the great horses we've seen over the last couple of decades. Go Sapper, he broke through in the Preakness with Bernardini back in 2006. He's your reigning four-time Eclipse Award winner, his outstanding jockey. He talks about one of the biggest influences in his entire life in another edition of I Am.
I'm Javier Castellano.
Roses apart, Cloud Computing. So it is Javier Castellano getting the Preakness.
I'm a jockey. I really like to be jockeys. It's in my blood. My father was a jockey for 25 years. I love the sport, but the one thing my father, he don't want me to be jockey. It's a dangerous sport and a lot of sacrifices, and he changed his mind. He decided to help me up. He want me to finish high school in my country, Venezuela. My father was the biggest influence in my career, in my life. It's my idol, and it's something I always look up for. One of my biggest wins in my career could be Go Sapper, 2004. He won the British Cup Classic.
And Go Sapper is pulling away impressively. And a pumped up Javier Castellano. They have soundly defeated Roses in May. This was a no doubt about it winner.
He put me in the map. He put me basically another level. And very successful, win 4 Eclipse Awards back-to-back. I think it's pretty amazing. 5 travel in Saratoga. I think it's pretty great achievement in my career.
And here on the far outside comes Keen Ice with a late threat. American Pharaoh put away Frosted. He has to deal with Keen Ice. Keen Ice has got him. Keen Ice has won the Travers over American Pharaoh in a dramatic upset.
I always looking for target in my life, always looking for goal, and I've been very lucky, fortunate, to ride the best horse in the country, a lot of support, the biggest trainer in the country, the biggest owners and the racing. And I've been very fortunate, you know. I've been working hard for many years for try to enjoy this moment right now. To be inducted to the Hall of Fame, I mean, it's great. I mean, it's something any athlete and any sport is looking for that big level, you know. Thought, you know, and soon or later it's gonna come, but I didn't expect it that quick. To be father with 3 kids and my family, be part of my family, is a great moment in my life, you know. Spend the time with them, spend the Monday, Tuesday, my dark day off, spend it with them and play baseball with the little boy and my girl, they play tennis. It's amazing. My wife being support my career, amazing, because if without her, I think it would be nobody in charge. You know, I think it's one part of my success in my career. To be married with my wife and with the 3 kids, I think that helped me to motivate in my career.
Well, August 4th, Javier Castellano will be inducted into the Hall of Fame right across the street here from Saratoga Racecourse, and he is as talented as he is classy and individual. It's going to be tremendous to see that happen for him. What a moment. Still to come on the show, his sire ruled Saratoga as a 2-year-old. Can the son of the late City Zip get his first win at the Spa and the Morrisey? The feature next.
And they're off in New York.
the premier state bred program in the United States. When you own a New York bred, your horse can run for more than $44 million in purses, restricted to registered New York breds. And the New York program pays awards to breeders, owners, and stallion owners when their New York breds finish first, second, or third at New York tracks. We have the quality.
Coda, they won't catch Monin. Monin wins the February Stakes.
You have the opportunity. New York breds, get with the program. The best program.
Make NyraBets your home for online horse racing and betting. Use NyraBets to bet on live horse racing from around the world. Bet from anywhere, anytime using your computer or mobile device. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up at NyraBets.com and start earning your sign-up bonus today. NyraBets, racing's best play. Use promo code PICK5 to get a $200 new member sign-up bonus on NyraBets.com.
Back on Saratoga Live, and there's a look at Skidmore College, founded more than a century ago. It's located right here in Saratoga Springs. It's represented the pinnacle of higher education in Saratoga County. 950-acre campus, liberal arts institution has continued to provide students an opportunity to advance their knowledge, offering more than 1,000 courses with a faculty of over 300 professors. My favorite part about the university, appropriately named mascot, the Thoroughbreds.
Really?
Got to be the Thoroughbreds when you're right in Saratoga,
I mean,
right?
you can't get better than that. The Skidmore Thoroughbreds.
The John Morrisey, it is the feature coming up next. John Morrisey helped create Saratoga Racecourse back in 1853. He became the American boxing champion by defeating someone named Yankee Sullivan in 37 rounds. Bare knuckle, and you didn't end a round until someone was knocked down.
37 rounds.
That's a tough man.
That's 4 fights almost.
It's incredible. Wow. Jose Ortiz, we do have some good news. He was scheduled to ride Gypsum Johnny in this feature. Instead, it'll be Manny Franco aboard. He went to the hospital earlier today complaining of a problem with his elbow. He said took x-rays. Elbow is good. I'll be back tomorrow. So that is great to hear for the defending riding champion.
That's big, because when you hear, as an any kind of athlete, when you hear a pop can be a good thing, it can be a bad thing. If it hurts, not a good thing. But when you get a pop, usually, and it doesn't feel awful, it's usually okay. So that is some great news there, that everything was okay. When I heard pop, I thought maybe could have been any kind of ligament, elbow, something like that. So that is great news on that tweet.
Absolutely. Well, Linda Rice, of course, trains Gypsum Johnny. She also trains this 10-horse, Papa's Shot, who right now is on the board at 7-2. With more on Papa's Shot, let's go to Maggie.
Given this wet track, there are a lot of horses who do relish a wet going, and Papa Shot, he's 1 for 1 over it with the highest Beyer speed figure of his career on a surface with moisture in it. That is a 104, 2 starts back here for Linda Rice at Belmont. It was a good track, though. I mean, this is somewhat similar, but it is sealed. Looking at him, he looks spectacular. I'm a fan of this horse from the physical perspective. Now, as far as the turn back in distance from the mile and a 16th, the mile and a 70 to the 6.5 furlongs, well, it does seem as though Linda has him sharp. I like that. We'll see, though. He'll be looking for things to kind of melt away up front to help his chances, but certainly gets a stamp of approval from the overall physical well-being. Another turn back is number 6, Fish Chop Road, but he's only turning back a half a furlong. His affinity for a wet track is arguably up in the air, to be sure, but he's back with New York breds after a long hiatus. I mean, we haven't seen him against his own state bred company since he was a 2-year-old, going back to 2015 in the Sleepy Hollow Stakes. He's another one that's very sharp for this effort here. I think he looks fantastic for trainer Brett Calhoun. The blinkers do go back on this runner, just a very short-cut cheater. So he's very intriguing to me. It's just, will he handle this track? Moving on to number 7, Breaking the Fever. Well, no arguments here about the track for him. He's 5 for 5 over wet tracks. It really doesn't matter kind of what condition they are in. He's a really neat horse who has done the bulk of his running at Finger Lakes, but that Finger Lakes form here in 2017, well, it's not quite as good as what he's had in the past. He just, as far as speed figures are concerned, looks a little bit slower. I will say he's a little bit more quiet as well than what I've seen him. He's not breathing fire as he has had in the past. He was a little bit obstreperous to put the tack on, but otherwise he's very calm and cool here. Getting a little bit more into it now as we go onto the walking ring, but he certainly looks fit here for his connection. So I think he's one to be respected given what we're looking at as far as the track. Andy, Gabby, what do you think about Breaking the Fever?
I think he's a possible speed factor in this race, and he's not impossible. He likes a wet track. Linda Rice's horses, you know, she has 2. Now, Gypsum Johnny has the more speed. Papa Shot is in a tough spot because there's not abundance of speed on paper. Now, he is going to be the best closer in this race, but a short price cutting back concerns me in this race.
I would imagine so, especially with some of the scratches in here, Andy. I mean, it did figure to be at least a couple of horses battling on the front end. We can see him here in the Saginaw when he finished second behind Diversify. This horse was explosive on a track that had a little bit of moisture in it. And this horse wasn't bad when he first started his career. And this is kind of what Linda Rice does well. She kind of gets horses and she takes them to the next level.
I agree. I'm very curious, though. That race 2 back came out of absolutely nowhere. His form was somewhat dreary going into that race. Was it really a little moisture? I mean, a good Harrow track at Belmont? We'll find out today. I mean, I don't know.
There's only time on it.
The one, though, that absolutely prefers going shorter is Gypsum Johnny, and we know he likes a wet track. He's a confirmed wet track type horse. I just think at a similar price, and they're both 7-2, the 5 Gypsum Johnny is a more likely winner of this race.
And when he was sprinting, obviously he's gone the mile and a 16th in the past couple of starts, but when he was sprinting, he was going against decent 2 other than Allowance Company. I thought it was an especially good performance, although it doesn't look as good on paper, going the mile in at Belmont, just because Weekend Hideaway, he was the controlling speed. This horse had no other option but to really chase there.
No, I agree. I think he fits very, very well in here. He's one of the horses to beat. Now, there is a trainer who hopes the race falls apart, and that's Kieran McLaughlin, and he's in the paddock with Maggie.
Andy, we're so close to you. We can give you and Gabby bunny ears here in the paddock. But Kieran, sending out Celtic Chaos after he was a winner last time out in the Affirmed Success, but off a little bit of a break. Was that by design or just the way that kind of races came up?
Yeah, no, it was by design. So we've been pointing for this race, and Saratoga's a special place. So to have all these owners out here every day is pretty neat. So hopefully he runs as well as he did last time.
As far as the wet track is concerned, a horse who he's handled it. Do you feel as though you're kind of at a disadvantage? Because there's some in here that have certainly handled it maybe a bit better.
No, I don't think so. I think that there's plenty of pace. We shouldn't have any excuses, and he's handled it wet, so hopefully he'll come running and like it better than the others.
His jockey, Eric Cancel, seems to have certainly quite the rapport with him.
Yes, he does. He gets along very well with him, so we're happy to have him.
Kieran, best of luck with Celtic Chaos.
Thank you very much.
Greg?
All right, Maggie, thank you. Celtic Chaos trying to make it 3 consecutive victories here. Post parade coming up. It's brought to you by OCD Pellets, celebrating their 10th anniversary of supporting the equine industry with their 2-in-1 bone and joint supplement. For more information, visit OCDpellets.com. We start with Ostralenka, trained by David Jacobson, owned by him as well. Joe Bravo in the irons.
This horse has been in really good form. Too bad he lost to El Deal, who's going to be in the Vanderbilt tomorrow, and then one next time out. But he's got to step it up a little more today.
Another David Jacobson runner, Brimstone, owned by Final Turn Racing Stables with Javier Castellano aboard.
Added blinkers last time and went wire to wire. The lone horse in here that can maybe go with the 7, breaking the fever.
Here's Antonino Miocchio's Gypsum Johnny, trained by Linda Rice and Manny Franco aboard.
Definitely the one to beat, and your favorite. Comes off a win, will cut back a little in distance where he's never missed the board.
Martin Racing Stable sends out Fish Trap Road, trained by Brett Calhoun with Ricardo Santana Jr.
And blinkers are going to go on this son of Trap Shot, 3 for 16 lifetime. Like you said, the hot riding Ricardo Santana Jr.
Deborah Breed owns and trains Breaking the Fever Nazario Alvarado aboard.
This horse smells rain and he wins. 5 for 5 over it, 190,000. Can the wet track carry him this distance?
Here's Michael Dubbs' I Love Lulu for Rudy Rodriguez and Irad Ortiz Jr.
Another horse that's been pretty sharp, except that last race. If you can draw a line through that one, this Pollard Visions gelding does have an outside look.
The 10, the Barry Schwartz-owned Papa's Shot with Joel Rosario riding for Linda Rice.
7 for 20 lifetime. Another Linda Rice runner going to come back in distance. Has burned up a lot of money. Been the favorite 8 out of the last 10 starts.
Trainer Michelle Nevin sends out T Loves a Fight for Hoffman Thoroughbreds with Kendrick Carmouche in the irons.
Appropriately named. A couple thirds, a couple seconds, and a lot of firsts. This horse does love a fight.
And Zilla Racing Stables Celtic Chaos, trained by Kieran McLaughlin, has Eric Cancel aboard.
This is the son of Dublin, and like you said, Eric Cancel. Look for this horse late. This horse will be rolling late, 4-1. I think it's got a major shot.
All right, Andy, how are you going to play the Morrisey?
I'm playing against Paul's major shot horse. I don't get Celtic Chaos at 4-1 at all. By the way, I think it should be 12-1 here. I'm going to box 5, 6, 10. I'm interested in the 6 Fish Trap Road coming here against the New York Breds, and I think this might be a better spot. The last race, the pace collapsed. Now boxing with Linda's 2 horses, 5, 6, 10 exacta box.
That's how Andy Serling sees the John Morrisey, but this horse getting plenty of play on the board. Celtic Chaos. Will it be Chaos in the Morrisey? He's trying to make it 3 straight wins when we come back.
Multiple Grade 1 winner First Samurai by Giants Causeway got off to a quick start at stud, siring Grade 1 winners in each of his first 3 crops. His talented son Lee captured the Grade 1 Don Handicap in record time and retired to stud with over $2.3 million in earnings. Sovereign Award nominee Stack Deck captured the Grade 3 Bold Venture Stakes and Grade 2 Kennedy Road Stakes, both just to tick off track record times. First Samurai at Claiborne Farm.
We're back on Saratoga Live. We get set for the feature coming up here. It is the 14th running of the John Morrisey Every Day of the Saratoga Meet NYRA Bets, offering a 10% winner's bonus on your trifecta bet on a selected Saratoga Stakes. Today, hit the try on the Morrisey on your mobile device and earn a 10% winner's bonus. See the full schedule at nyrabets.com, the official betting site for Saratoga Racecourse. Fans set and ready for the feature coming up, and that is a look at Fish Trap Road. He is a son of Claiborne sire, Trap Shot. He'll put blinkers on this afternoon, and Trap Shot, of course, he was brilliant as a runner on the racetrack. He 8.5 length winner of the Grade 2 True North, Andy, in his running days. Second in the Vanderbilt. He lost by a nose. He put up a 112 buyer in that performance.
Yeah, he took a tough beat that day. He lost to Sean Avery, who wired the field. And Trap Shot was a very, very nice horse. Broke his maiden down at Gulfstream Park as well. Fish Trap Road's a horse. I think if you look at his races this year, we're still with Trap Shot. I was a fan of Trap Shot. He I think he's made his last career start. I think he tried the Breeders' Cup Mile behind that incredible, maybe the best Breeders' Cup Mile performance ever by Caleb's Posse. It's a really, really nice horse, Trap Shot. And Fish Trap Road's really a sprinter, so I don't know why they ran him 2 races long in his 5 this year. And last time out, slop at Churchill, he kind of was forcing a pace that sort of fell apart. I thought this might be the right spot for him, and maybe he could sit a good trip sort of behind the 7, Breaking the Fever.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's a horse that has an extreme amount of talent, and when they stretched him out to 2 turns, distance of ground, this is a horse that clearly doesn't want that. I think the turn back and distance was definitely preferred. We'll take a look. This is in the Grade 3 Dwyer last year when he did go 1 turn. That was a 1-turn mile at Belmont. To me, I think he sits the trip. They put the blinkers on today to help him focus. There isn't as much pace signed on today than there was prior to the scratches. And Andy, I don't think he's going to be too far off the pace today.
No, I totally agree. Hopefully he can sit behind Breaking the Fever in here. This isn't a pivotal race for him because he's back in with New York Breds, and he's got to run well in this race. He may not necessarily win, but he has been somewhat disappointed this year because he really showed a lot of promise last year. The Woody Stevens, he finished 2nd, winning the Dwyer, albeit while pinning Economic Model, who went down to a dead rail that day, but he still ran well. This is the race that he needs to deliver in.
I agree, and we get a great price at 6-1.
We'll find out what he can do in here. This is a very interesting race. I mean, there's a lot of horses that have a chance to win in this race. We've talked about Linda's horses. Breaking the Fever, the 7, is, I think, a horse worth talking about. Breaking the Fever is a pretty cool horse. And, last time out, he did get caught up in a duel. I don't disagree with Maggie, who said he hasn't been as good this year. And I think that's a very, very fair point that she made. But if he can get loose in here, and he likes a wet track, he's 5 for 5.
I think Maggie brings up a brilliant point. And to me, Andy, I think although he is 11-1, I mean, he's a price, I do think he's kind of a trap because, yes, his 5 victories on the slop or on a wet track, they came at a time when he was running faster and better races. I haven't seen that horse so far this year since the layoff, since November.
I'm never calling a 12-1 shot a trap, but I can understand the thinking that maybe he won't run as well. But he is a very big price in here. I think you go through this field, and you can make cases for a lot of these horses. I mean, how about the 11? T Loves a Fight. A lot going on. I know Maggie wants to talk more about Celtic Chaos.
Yeah, Andy, just taking a look in regards to that layoff. I mean, we hadn't seen him since late April, so he does look extremely fit here. He doesn't look like he's missed that much racing. He's ready to go as far as I can work out. I didn't love the fact that Eric Cancel had to kind of slap him down the shoulder and get him into the bridle. I mean, that's not totally out of character for him, but still, for a horse that is coming off of freshening, you would like to see him a little more fresh, possibly. Also, I'm going to check in with a horse who might have something to say about the early pace, and I know Andy will probably disagree with me, but Brimstone was so revved up in here, in the paddock and out on the track. I know he might not be quite as fast a sprinter speed as Breaking the Fever, but he certainly has go on his mind. He looked fantastic as well in the flesh, and just a kind of long shot that caught my eye as he currently sits at 10-1 for his 2nd start with David Jacobson here for this John Morrisey, Greg.
Yeah, thanks, Megan. I think you can make the argument maybe Brimstone comes in better recent form than Breaking the Fever does of the 2 speedsters.
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, he blazed last time on the racetrack, adding the blinkers. But, I mean, Was that race any different than his August 8th race? Does that win this race? I just don't know. Breaking the Fever has one way of going, although you do see a rateable race, but that's against State Breds at Finger Lakes going 111-3. That just cannot happen today against this type of group, so I think he has to go towards the front end. But Brimstone is sharp.
Well, as Gabby had mentioned, Breaking the Fever, that other speedster, the Finger Lakes shipper, 5 for 5. He has never lost on an off track. I think that's what she was talking about when she was mentioning, is it a trap in here because he's so good on off tracks. You are getting a big price. You will get rewarded, certainly, but it's probably not as easy as being 5 for 5, right?
It isn't, you know, but he beat the horse in here, the one Weekend Hideaway, who was 7-2 on the morning line that is scratched and was much the best after a bad break that day. So maybe the mud or the slop moves him up that much.
It's the 14th running of the John Morrisey. And Gypsum Johnny, the son of City Zip, is the current favorite for Linda Rice. Let's send it upstairs to the voice of New York racing for the call, Larry Colmus.
One left to go into the starting gate here, and it's Celtic Chaos with Eric Consell riding a wide open John Morrisey. 7-2 right now on the favorite, Gypsum Johnny. They're all in line, and we're ready for the start. They're off in the John Morrisey. Gypsum Johnny sent out of there with early speed. I Love Lulu up and on the pace too, and they're joined on the inside by Brimstone as they head up the backstretch. And then it's Fish Trap Road outside of Ostrolenka. Break of another 2 to T Loves a Fight. 2.5 more. Then Breaking the Fever, Celtic Chaos, and the trailer Papa Shot. Up the backstretch they go. Brimstone on top by a length and a half. Gypsum Johnny second through a 21.74 opening quarter mile. So Brimstone is on fire as they move into the far turn. Gypsum Johnny is second by another 2. And then it's Ostrolenka third. I Love Lulu on the outside, fourth by 2. T Loves a Fight, saving all the ground, 5 lengths off the lead. Then Fish Trap Road, followed by Celtic Chaos on the outside. Breaking the Fever and Papa Shot. Brimstone continues to lead the way through a 44.96 half. And they're into the stretch, and it's Brimstone off the turn in front. Ostrolenka splits horses and comes on. Gypsum Johnny is there on the outside. T Loves a Fight, fighting through traffic, and on the far outside, Celtic Chaos comes alive too. Here's Celtic Chaos on the outside. Ostrolenka second. T Loves a Fight third on the inside. Gypsum Johnny, Papa Shot, Brimstone, Celtic Chaos, Ostrolenka. Celtic Chaos did it in the John Morrisey over Ostrolenka. Then Papa Shot and T Loves a Fight in 1 minute 17.65 seconds.
Celtic Chaos from off the pace at 5-1. Kieran McLaughlin, Eric Cancel.
Well, Ostrolenka made a menacing move on the inside. I'll tell you what, David Jacobson's done a tremendous job with his son, Muscat Man, because he could not even stand up on some of his wet track efforts that I looked at. I mean, literally at all. But right here, he's on the inside as the 4's cutting all the fractions here. Brimstone, the 7, Breaking the Fever, never part of the pace, broke a little bit flat-footed. But right here, you're looking at Ostrolenka that he's going to get the job done. But here comes Eric Consell, a little bit on the wrong lead here with Celtic Chaos, and he's going to get up. The 10 starts rolling, but just a little too short for Papa Shot.
Well, he knew he was one of the closers in this field, and Andy didn't get the hot pace from both the horses up front. Breaking the Fever wasn't there, but he did get fast fractions. Brimstone 21-3, 44-4 to the half.
Yeah, actually, you have to be careful in 6.5 furlong races because there's a long run-up. The run-up is the distance between the gate and when the actual timing starts. And because the configuration of the track is a long run-up in 6.5 furlongs, so 21.74 is probably more like 22-1 in a 6 furlong race. Not saying it was slow, but I don't think it's quite as fast as some might think. Regardless, the way the race was run, it was a collapsed race because the final time, Gabby, is very slow relative to the pace. Give Celtic Chaos credit. I mean, he just gets the job done, and Kieran's done a great job with him, Gabby.
He does, and Kieran actually in the interview with Maggie going into the race, he said, yes, I do think we're going to get a good pace to run behind, and I think he's going to close from off of it today. So a perfect trip, perfect ride by Eric Consell. But we did see Breaking the Fever. I want to go back eventually and maybe look at the gate because I think he got squeezed out of position, so he didn't make the lead, and then it just kind of collapsed in front of him. But good performance.
Actually, Ostrolenko ran very well because he's the only one that was close to the pace that hung around at all in this race. You're right. He came in at the start and bump, but I think he just did it to himself.
Mhm.
The 7, he came in and, he did that a little bit before in his life. He's not the same horse. I think Ostrolenko actually ran very well to be second. Nice performance by him, a shocker.
Ostrolenko ran very big in this race last year. He does again this year, but comes up just short. It's Celtic Chaos. 2 wins today for that young man, Eric Cancel.
Yeah, and a good job. And the race did break apart. And I'm with Andy. Ostrolenko, bang-up race. Bravo had the horse in a perfect spot, but just maybe it's too close. That 6.5, that extra half cost him.
And again, last year, Kieran McLaughlin, he was red hot to start this meet, and he's hot again to start Saratoga. Coming up, it's a star-studded weekend for the country's top 3-year-olds. Can Irish Warcry build off his runner-up in the Belmont?
Undefeated in sprint competition, Eclipse champion Run Happy captured 3 Grade 1 victories and set blistering speed records at both Keeneland and Saratoga. In the Breeders' Cup Sprint, he dominated the world's fastest runners, going 6 furlongs in a record-breaking 108 and change. The only horse nominated for 3 Eclipse Awards, Run Happy was crowned champion male sprinter, all the while racing 100% drug-free. Champion, millionaire, record-breaker, Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
And they're off to New York, the premier state-bred program in the United States. When you own a New York bred, your horse can run for more than $44 million in purses, restricted to registered New York breds. And the New York program pays awards to breeders, owners, and stallion owners when their New York breds finish first, second, or third at New York tracks. We have the quality.
Dakota, they won't catch Monin. Monin wins the February Stakes.
You have the opportunity. New York breds, get with the program, the best program.
And the John Morrisey, it was a throwdown to the wire, and it was Celtic Chaos coming away with a victory over Ostrolenko.
Yeah, gallant effort by the son of Muscat Man on the inside, but Celtic Chaos, the son of Dublin, is just going to get the best of him. And an honest horse is Celtic Chaos. Now 6 for 19 lifetime, 4 seconds and 4 thirds. Congratulations to Spendthrift and Zilla Racing Stables, the owners here.
Poor Ostrolenko, back-to-back runner-up finishes in the John Morrisey. Meanwhile, for Eric Cancel, a 2-win afternoon. He's standing by with Maggie.
And we know what Eric has had, at least for his snack time. It's dirt. Eric, as typical with Celtic Chaos, you do take a lot of dirt with that come-from-behind running style.
I mean, I want to first thank I want to thank God. I want to thank the trainers, the owners, for giving me the opportunity to ride this horse. I mean, this horse, every single time I ride him, he always tries. He gives me 100%. I mean, today we had a wonderful trip. He felt really comfortable where he was. And in the stretch, he was running, so I had to take him out, like always, and he did the job. He got the job done.
You know him very well. You've been aboard almost every start, but certainly you've been aboard every win. He's kind of, if you will, one of the horses that is a star in at least your book of rides. I mean, talk about the relationship you have with him.
I mean, I have a really good relationship with him. I mean, he's not an easy horse to deal with. I mean, you just gotta time him right. I mean, when he wants to be good, he's good, and when he has his days, he has his days.
I know, I rode him as a 2-year-old.
Yeah, you know.
Well, Eric, you've actually gotten off, or I should say you've gotten off to a great Saratoga start. Did you have confidence heading into this meet?
I mean, I came with one goal, and it was to try to win as much as I can. I mean, I'm working really hard for it. I mean, same as all the other jockeys, they always work hard. But my main goal was this, just to come to Saratoga at least to win 10 races. With that, I'm happy. I'm going for it. So
you're well on your way. Congratulations here in the John Morrisey.
Thank you very much.
Greg?
All right, Maggie, thank you. Well done by that young man.
Love
Eric Cancel with a couple of victories here on today's card, and as usual, that's how he does it. This 4-year-old comes from well off the pace. That was a wide trip to get that victory.
I like it. I like when somebody sets a goal for themselves. You can tell the positivity that's coming out of Eric's mouth. And listen, I got a certain amount of wins I want to hit. If I surpass it, I'm doing better than I thought. If I don't reach it, I'm not actually doing what I want. I love when athletes have targets.
Race 10 off the turf, originally scheduled for 1 mile and a 16th on the grass, now 1 mile and an 1/8 on the main track. And by the way, there is one horse that could carry over the pick 6 into Friday, and that would be the 10 horse. So we'll keep you posted on that. Let's take a look at the pick 5 follow-up and where we stand right now.
Well, listen, this is a great barrier to tell you these pick 5s are overpaying. You got our Pretty Boy Floyd. I thought that horse can play way better than $10. Then you get the favorite. Ava's Kitten was one of the 3 you needed to use, and Celtic Chaos got bet. If you're live in the Naira's pick 5, the worst you can do is a little under $1,000. So still paying great value. We're live in the pick 4 to the 1 and 11. Hopefully we can get a little over $150, and this way I could buy you, Andy, and Gabby and Maggie at least a couple steaks.
I'm down for that. Let's root you home. New York Racing Association continues to have the best in Spanish language broadcast options. Luis Grandison provides pre-race and race-by-race calls. It's all available in the Naira Now app and all in HD. Here's last year's Curlin and Connect.
Están batallando en el evento de curling, faltando 150. Coneg, una cabeza en el comando, 3/4 de cuerpo, medio cuerpo, un cuerpo entero. Coneg, midiendo a Gibbog. Coneg, con John Velázquez, se está ganando de curling. Segundo Gibbog, tercero está arribando Forever de Oro, de cuarta está arribando Ready Dancer.
That turned out to be a pretty good field. Connect, Giftbox, and Dolphus came out of that race as well. Chad Brown was 1-2 winning with a son of Curlin. Meanwhile, this year's edition coming up on Friday, and the 2nd and 3rd place finishers coming out of the Easy Goer in Outplay and You're to Blame.
Yeah, and they were just left in the dust of West Coast. The Bob Baffert runner right in front of them. Tough to tell. I thought Outplay really ran well. When you get put in chase mode and you get a little bit tired, You're to Blame sort of picked him up for second. I still think Outplay Atlanta a little bit better. The odds, at least morning line odds, will go towards Outplay. Tricky field. Field of 7 going 1 mile and 1/8. Nice little feature on the card tomorrow.
Yeah, and Outplay looks like he's the pace of the race as well.
Yes. I think he's going to be the horse to catch. And I think I don't know if you want to be the horse to catch. Perfect Partner in there. The 6 has got a little pace. So does the 5 in their Thirst for Victory.
Well, Perfect Partner coming off a maiden scorer in his most recent start. That was at Belmont at 1 mile. Wins for trainer Mark Cassidy with Joel Rosario aboard. Rosario will be back on board on Friday, and this was a nice win.
Well, you mean his first start, he was absolutely giant when he lost to a horse called Watch Me Whip. He came from way out of it. Then they took him to Churchill Downs. He performed well at 1 mile and 1/8. Mile and a quarter, and then he got the job done here in the 1-turn mile. Now, is he wavering a little bit? Is he wobbling a little bit as he comes down the lane? Because you wonder, can he get that 1 mile and 1/8 against a little better field tomorrow?
Going to be back-to-back years. We have a son of Curlin.
Yep.
winning the Curlin. Here's assistant trainer to Mark Cassidy, his son Norm, on how Perfect Partner's doing leading up to the stakes race tomorrow.
He's a horse that has shown a little bit of potential in the morning, things that's taken him a little bit to develop into what he's been doing recently. And we think that his maiden race at Belmont was a good one and feel like 1.8 miles is perfect distance for him. When he trains in the morning, he gives you the indication that he likes to run and run all day long. So 1.8 miles at Saratoga, he'd be at a real big advantage.
Well, this is a very intriguing field, Andy. We saw some good ones in it last year. Again, we mentioned Dolphus came out of this race, obviously Connect and Gift Box ran 1-2 for Chad Brown. Sometimes, though, you find things with horses, they weren't meant to run in certain races or races wash off. That's what happened with Small Bear. A race came off the turf. He ran a lights-out performance last start.
Yeah, you know, Small Bear is an interesting horse. V.E. Day also won this race a few years ago, and he came back and upset the field in the Travers, so it's been a strong race. I like Small Bear as a horse. We saw him win on our show. We were down at Belmont Park. You weren't there, but it's an impressive horse, and he loves distance for Gary Siaka. This is a tougher field for him, but he beat a lot of hardened veteran older horses last time, Gabby.
Yeah, I actually watched this last race, and it did look like he didn't get off to a great start. He kind of lunged at the break, and then after that, he showed at least a little bit maturity to relax from off of it and close. He did get a good pace flow in front of him, but I'm with you. I think this horse improves with. However, Outplay is clearly the horse to catch on the front end. I think, is the main speed.
Oh, he is. There's no doubt about it, Gabby. I think there's 3 major players in here. Outplay, Small Bear, and You're to Blame. I think that Small Bear and You're to Blame are going to much prefer the 1.8 miles and 2 turns, but Outplay may get a bit of an edge as the main speed, though I'm not sure he's not the third best of those 3.
He could be. I still think he is the main speed, and he comes out of a good race last time out. I mean, how fast did they go in the Easy Goer in the opening half of the race?
Yeah, it was a quick pace. It seemed to hold together fairly well. He's got the speed, and it's going to make him tough to catch. I think You're to Blame, though, and Small Bear are better at the distance, though.
Well, meanwhile, across state lines over the weekend, another big 3-year-old race. We have the Jim Dandy here at Saratoga on Saturday. On Sunday, it is the Haskell Invitational. Grade 1 worth $1 million, and a lot of familiar names you're going to see lining up against each other in that race, including Belmont Stakes runner-up Paul Irish Warcry.
Wow, this is a good field. Another 7-pack here. We have a 5-pack here on Saturday. We have a 7-pack on Sunday, and here is the wood. In Irish Warcry with that draw, when I first saw he drew the 1, you're wondering, okay, I don't know if I want that. But when you have the main 2 speeds, maybe to your outside. I think Rajiv can push from the inside, make Timeline and the 2-horse commit to the front end and try to sit that trip. But you do have some other talented runners in there. Gervin, can he get back to that fairgrounds form that he was at? Hence as well. But this is the horse to beat, Irish Warcry.
A lot of people are saying Timeline could be the horse to beat.
He might be the best horse, but going into the race on form, I think he's the horse to beat.
So Timeline, of course, take a look at his Pegasus. What's impressed you about him?
Well, he's got natural ability. I mean, devastating speed. He is not – I don't even think he's got to the bottom of him yet, bottom of his engine, to be honest with you. You know, when you – I get more on this on Andy, but to me, I just think there's so much more left in this horse's tank. I think that Chad brought him down there to give him a little bit of a race, to get him acclimated with the racetrack. I just think he's the real deal.
You know, this is a pivotal test for him because we're going to find out if he's a real deal, Paul, because this is a serious field. He's never met horses like this. He was on a gold rail last time. He caught 2 wet tracks in his 2 prior races, which you may love. We're going to find out a lot more about Timeline. I'm not going to be surprised when he does well in here, but I would never bet him.
I don't know if I would never bet him. I do think that he's a horse that has a lot of natural talent, but I do agree with you. This is the toughest field that he has ever faced. How competitive is this year's Haskell? There's really no clear-cut standout in here.
You've got Irish Warcry won the Wood and was second in the Belmont. You've got Battle of Midway, who was 3rd in the Derby. You've got Practical Joke, who was 5th in the Derby, and he just won the Dwyer. McCracken, who's about. This is a huge move up for him.
I will say, though, this is an interesting race in that there are several horses, in my opinion, moving forward, might want less distance, whereas Irish Warcry, think this is perfect for him.
He's the horse to beat.
Well, there is the man that will be his pilot in the Haskell Invitational. Let's send it down to Maggie.
And here with a special guest, we're glad he's back here riding. It's Rajiv Mirage, and a couple scary moments yesterday. And the horse you're in the last race kind of went up. And what happened in the gate? We saw you on the ground. We all were holding our breath.
Well, it was a scary moment. My horse reared up and fell back over, and I was tossed out the back of the gate. On my way back, my leg got pinned between the horse and the starting gate for a split of a second there, and it was a pretty painful time, but thankfully it's okay.
And you went to Albany Medical Center to get everything checked out.
Yeah, there was a little bit of a swelling and a little soreness, and just the precautionary that it wasn't something worse, but it seemed like it was going to be okay, and thankfully when they took the x-rays, everything looked fine, so good to go.
Good. We're so pleased. And Raj, it's been a couple years since you've ridden here at Saratoga, dealing with those long layoffs that you've had. I mean, what goes through your mind that you're back at Saratoga and you're on the ground after your leg is killing you?
Well, the first thing that went through my mind was the Irish war cry on Sunday. And I was like, this can't really be happening right now. And I was really upset when that happened because obviously we got big race this week. But thankfully it's all good.
And talk a little bit about your Haskell Mount Irish War Cry. He looks to be one of the favorites in there. How do you think the race shapes up for him? You're on the inside, though.
Yeah, he's a very forward horse. I think he can break from any post pretty good. He leaves the gate well, and hopefully he can continue that trend this weekend. But he's always going to be a top contender whatever race he runs in. It's always exciting to ride a horse of his caliber in a race like that, and I'm just really excited for the opportunity and looking forward to him running.
Raj, we're looking forward to watching you down at Monmouth Park this Saturday. Best of luck here in the last.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Guys.
Well, that is just tremendous news because Rajiv Mirage, of course, he was out for a long, long time. A couple of doctors told him he would not be able to race ride again. He got a third opinion, went through a brutal rehab, and made his comeback. And when he did win the Wood Memorial and Irish War Cry, he was in tears after the wire. It was such an emotional moment for him. So we can't wait to see him in the Haskell on Sunday afternoon. We're going to take a break in the action. It's the Derby winner against the Preakness winner, always dreaming against Cloud Computing from Saratoga. We'll be back.
Make NyraBets your home for online horse racing and betting. Use NyraBets to bet on live horse racing from around the world. Bet from anywhere, anytime using your computer or mobile device. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up at NyraBets.com and start earning your sign-up bonus today. NyraBets, racing's best play. Use promo code PICK5 to get a $200 new member sign-up bonus on NyraBets.com.
Back on Saratoga Live, and just below there, that's where Larry Colmus lives, the voice of the races here at Saratoga. Maybe you got a little peek out on there. Welcome back to the show. Here we have the nightcap coming up here in about 10 minutes or so. There he is in that little second window, that middle level, right to just to the left of us here.
Yes.
You could play along from home as you watch the races here on Saratoga Live. Bet 200. You can get 200 in your account. Use the promo code Pick5 to take advantage. Go to NyraBets.com. You can get signed up and started with Nyra Bets anywhere across the country. And again, if you do not live in New York, that is the only way to play the Nyra Bets Late Pick 5. That's Paulie right there. Paul LaDuca, everybody. Give me a high five.
Hi.
Can I get a high five?
Wait.
Paul?
Hi.
He's leaving me hanging.
Oh, high five.
Thank you, buddy.
Sorry.
All right, let's send it down to the paddock with Maggie.
And horses leaving the paddock here for today's nightcap and off the turf event. And yes, most of the fillies that stayed in here do have a little bit of main track form. We'll start with number 1. That is Oh Say Can You See. I thought one of the most cleverly named horses on today's program. A proud citizen out of an O mare, mare named O, I should say. I'm a little concerned about the distance. And I know I say that with her 3 starts ago, winning going 2 turns at Monmouth. But Monmouth will carry speed more oftentimes than not, and that's certainly not what we're seeing on this track here today. She just isn't physically suited for a mile and 1/8 on the main track. She's a little more compact, a little more built downhill. I like her from an overall sense. It's just I don't feel as though she's kind of matching up with the conditions. Next, we'll take a look at the horse who will break next to her. That is number 8, Cincy Bell. I think this filly looks fantastic. Now, she's another one that's going to play out as a speed possibly in here. She's a little bit bigger in her frame. She's okay going this distance, but I don't know. I would maybe lean on horses that have a little more stamina than either of these horses here today.
All right, thank you for that, Maggie. We're getting set for a post-parade here coming up shortly, obviously with the surface switch and now going 1 mile and 1/8. Things have dramatically changed in this race. And Osei, can you see, as we take a look at the 1 here, one of the major players now in the race?
Well, major player because you know, she's a 3-time winner. She's won over a regular, a dry dirt track, a sloppy, and the turf. She possesses speed, but is the 8 going to give her all she can handle early and make it, you know, the 10 or 11 or 12? The worry is can any of these horses really pass each other on the dirt?
Now, we're going to find out here soon enough. There again, Osei, can you see a daughter of proud citizen? Out of the Indian Charlie mare. Paco Lopez will be in the irons. Comes in from Monmouth and does own a victory on an off track.
Yeah, she looks like a speed on the inside, but there's other speed in this race, and I agree with Maggie that distance could be a real question.
We jump next to the 8 with the scratches near. Scott Lake trained Cincy Bell, Kendrick Carmouche aboard.
Actually don't mind this distance for her. Did go wire to wire last time out, going 1 mile and 70 yards. Now trained by Scott Lake, will be a pace presence.
A daughter of Any Given Saturday. The 10, Wound. With her eyes for Rudy Rodriguez, has Junior Alvarado aboard.
Interested to see where she fits in the pace flow of the race. Maybe could get a stalking trip there for Rudy.
Romantic Music, the 11, trained by Derek Ryan, and the man who will be aboard Irish Roar Cry in the Haskell on Sunday, Rajiv Mirage.
If she runs back to her race in a sloppy sealed track at Monmouth 2 back, she'll bury this field.
And the blinkers come off. Unbridled Adventure for Ray Handel, Manny Franco aboard.
Has a win on the wet track and actually has improved in her past 2 turf starts. Maybe that's encouraging coming back to the dirt.
It is the nightcap. It's coming up next on Saratoga Live. Osei, can you see speed drawn inside? Things could set up nice for a return to the winner's circle.
This Saturday, Kentucky Derby winner Always Dreaming returns to the racetrack.
They're coming to the line, and the dream comes true. Always Dreaming has won the Kentucky Derby.
Ready to face the horse that ended his Triple Crown bid.
They come to the finish together. Noses apart. Cloud Computing.
Preakness winner Cloud Computing and Always Dreaming face off in the Jim Dandy Stakes. Catch all the action Saturday on Saratoga Live.
Back on Saratoga Live on this Thursday afternoon. We got the finale still coming up. And I want to remind everybody you can watch live Saratoga racing replays, expert analysis videos, and workouts on demand and all in HD with the NYRA Now app. It's the ultimate app to keep you up with all the action at Saratoga all summer long. The app, a free download, so download the NYRA Now app today. 4 minutes to post here in this 10th. Coming up, we get another look there at Oh Say Can You See, speed inside, but we got a horse on the outside. Paul making an equipment change with Manny Franco aboard, blinkers coming off, Unbridled Adventure.
Yeah, 1 for 15 lifetime. The lone win was at the Inner Dirt at Aqueduct, and a Staper at 25 by 13.5. And if you go back and look at that field, tough to endorse. Andy makes a great point about the 11 Romantic Vision. The race 2 back, does it crush this field? When you look at the number, yes, it does. But the same worry, like I like the one, Andy, that was a 4-horse field. I like the one who basically beat a 4-horse field 3-back.
Yeah, I wanted to step back to the 12 for a second. If you look through this race, aren't the 1, 8, 10, and 11 all horses that run best when they're forwardly placed? And the 12 kind of the lone closer in a race full of speed?
I saw it the same way, Andy. And actually, if you look at her, you have to look at her turf races too, right? She was running on the turf at 2, and they were horrific. They were so bad. In the past 2 starts, she's actually improved on the turf. So now the fact that she's coming back to the dirt, I think she can run faster races on the dirt, and I think she's going to get a good setup.
I completely agree with you. I think it's a great point. She's improved in Ray Handel's barn. I mean, let's be honest. She's improved for Ray. And, you know, I know that those inter-track races, Paul's not wrong. They're not great races. But don't they sort of stack up well enough with these? And if she's improved, why can't she be sitting by 4 horses that are involved in a pace and start struggling down the stretch? I don't think she has any problem with the distance.
I'm with you. Let me ask you guys a question. There's one pick 6 carryover. I'll ask this to you, Gabby, because you were mentioning Wound with Her Eyes. Is the horse better on turf, or has the horse been better with blinkers?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I think that we have seen her actually find a little bit of a rating gear since she's transferred to the turf, whereas before, I guess we saw a little bit of a rating gear. I guess the question for her is, how far does she want to go on the main track, and if she's going to get caught up in those other speeds? I don't know if she's got an effective rating gear going this distance.
I agree with Gabby. I have a lot of trouble seeing her getting a 1.1 miles. And listen, it's a question. It's like Wade Lucas says. They all can get it. It's just a question of how quickly. And this is not going to be a very rapid pace. Maybe, you know, we can make some dinner bets. Gabby can't be involved. But the final time of this race, Paul, I'm going to make an over-under for you. 156 4/5.
Woo. I might take the over on that.
I'll book the under all day. They're not going to go that slow.
No.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
Paul and I are on the... Okay, so Paul and I are over. You guys are under. Gabby's not involved because she hasn't paid off her dinner and drinks from last year. But Paul can get involved.
Every time we're on this show, you bring it up.
Should have paid.
Meanwhile, the 11 Romantic Music 3-2 favorite. Maggie has more on the current top choice on the board.
Yeah, Andy, I will take the under on that one. I think we have some speed here. It will be a stagger fest coming home, I would assume. But if I lose, let's go light. Let's go drinks instead of dinner. But taking a look at number 11 in here, that's Romantic Music for Derek Ryan. And it almost seems as though if you go back at least to her race 2 starts ago, that she might be better on this kind of track overall. She looks great to me. She is a bigger type that I've always thought should or might be able to handle the distance. So we'll find out more about her and if she is a player here. But 3-2 on Wound with Her Eyes. And I must say, I had the pleasure just now of meeting the beautiful Miss Bella, Paula Duca's daughter, and she is absolutely charming. Must take after her mama, though. Just kidding.
That's the truth. She's right,
Wow.
Maggie, there. I'm good. Somebody also said she was smart. She didn't get that from me either.
And she's going to be here all week. Is she falling in love with Saratoga already?
She's loving it. She couldn't believe how big it was. And as soon as she saw a Shake Shack, she ran straight for it.
That's all it took.
That's all it took.
Loading up here for this nightcap. You like this horse right here moving in, and we'll see if this is going to be the one in front. And maybe, I mean, it does, as Andy and Gabby said, it looks like everyone except the 12 does want to go to the front.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that it is somewhat of a stagger fest for me. I mean, I'm hoping that Paco doesn't get caught up with the 8 here early and can be able to save a little bit of energy.
It's the nightcap from Saratoga. Let's send it upstairs to the voice of New York racing for the call, Larry Colmus.
3 left to go into the starting gate here. Here is Wound with Her Eyes. Moving into line, Romantic Music is 3-2 as she takes her spot in the starting gate. And the last one to load will be Unbridled Adventure. In this field of 5, going 1 mile and 1/8. As Romantic Music goes in, now Unbridled Adventure and Manny Franco will take the outside stall. He's looking for his 2nd win today. Unbridled Adventure steps up, goes in. They're all in line. They're off. Osakin UC goes out to the front. Unbridled Adventure and Cincy Bell sent along between them to grab the lead going into that first turn. Then it's Romantic Music, and at the back of the pack, it's Wound with Her Eyes. Osakin UC on the inside and Cincy Bell to the outside, matching strides on the lead. And then it's Unbridled Adventure. 3rd on the outside, Romantic Music is 4th, and Wound with Her Eyes last of them all as they head to the backstretch in 24.49 seconds. So it is Cincy Bell on the outside who grabs the lead from Osakin UC. And then Unbridled Adventure running in 3rd, Romantic Music behind them in 4th. The trailer Wound with Her Eyes is 6 lengths off the lead as they continue up the backstretch. Kendra Carmouche and Cincy Bell lead Paco Lopez and Osakin UC, who have the rail 3/4 of a length behind. And then it's Unbridled Adventure, Romantic Music, and still last, Wound with Her Eyes, 4.5 lengths off the lead after a 49.14 half. There's a half mile to go. It is Cincy Bell, the leader. On top into the turn, Osakin UC back into 2nd on the inside. Unbridled Adventure now moves up, takes 2nd. Osakin UC back to 3rd, now pushed along to keep up. On the far outside, Wound with Her Eyes is next. And then Romantic Music splitting horses coming to the top of the stretch. Here's Unbridled Adventure and Manny Franco up for the lead as they turn for home. Cincy Bell cuts the corner in 2nd. Wound with Her Eyes on the far outside, and Romantic Music is weaving her way through traffic now with 1 furlong to run, and now swings up on the outside of Unbridled Adventure, who's got the lead close to home. Unbridled Adventure by 2. Romantic Music is 2nd. It is Unbridled Adventure coming home on top. Unbridled Adventure and Manny Franco under the wire, a 3-length winner on Romantic Music. And then came Cincy Bell over Wound with Her Eyes.
Unbridled Adventure, the blinkers come off, turf to dirt, and Manny Franco for Ray Handel the win.
And Gabby and Andy both talked how this horse has been better stretching out, and when she was laying about 3rd or 4th, a couple lengths off the lead, you knew she was going to finish best, and she did in a little 9-2 action. She ends up being your longest shot on the board in this field of 5.
We're going to take a break in the action. We'll be back to wrap up the nightcap when we return. Stick with us. More Saratoga Live on the way.
Make NyraBets your home for online horse racing and betting. Use NyraBets to bet on live horse racing from around the world. Bet from anywhere, anytime using your computer or mobile device. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up at NyraBets.com and start earning your sign-up bonus today. NyraBets, racing's best play. Use promo code PICK5 to get a $200 new member sign-up bonus on NyraBets.com.
Grade 1 winner Data Link by world-renowned sire Warfront. Data Link scored in the prestigious Grade 1 Makers 46 Mile at Keeneland. Then set a new course record in the Grade 2 Monmouth Stakes. With a pedigree free of Mr. Prospector in the first 4 generations, Data Link is the perfect outcross option. His first weanlings turned heads, selling well above the stud fee. Data Link at Claiborne Farm.
Selected sales, superior results. Success starts at Saratoga, the #1 ranked yearling sale in North America.
Eclipse Award-winning Songbird was bought at Saratoga Fasig-Tipton. Where will you be this August?
Eclipse champion Stellar Wind is a Fasig-Tipton Saratoga grad.
Where will you be this August?
The Fasig-Tipton Saratoga sale, August 7th and 8th. Where will you be?
And they're off. NyraBet's Pick 5 is now available exclusively online at NyraBets.com. Bet the NyraBet's Pick 5 every race day with a 15% takeout on the last 5 races on the card from the country's best racing at Belmont and Saratoga. Find it nationwide on NyraBets.com right in the Bet Type drop-down menu or at any Nyra track or New York OTB location. NyraBet's Pick 5, racing's best bet.
You're watching Saratoga Live here on Fox Sports 2, the nightcap in the books. What a line set by Andy Serling. He set it at 156 and 4 for this mile and an eighth. It turns out to be 156 and 1. Right on it, Andy Serling. But I did take the under. Drinks on you.
I'm always happy to buy the drinks. I buy them anyway.
Can you buy
Anytime.
me a
Everybody but Gabby gets drinks. Maggie can have drinks. She took the under. When Gabby pays her debts from last year, we'll let her out of jail, guys.
But I'm thirsty.
I'll buy you a drink, Gabby. That was a great line, Andy. I'll buy Gabby a drink on the side. Maybe just a little shot, lemon drop.
Don't feel sorry for Gabby. She had all last meet. And then, wait a second, when we discussed buying dinner, she started talking about McDonald's or something. It was very sad.
Would you go through that kind of torture, guys?
That's going to do it for this Thursday afternoon of action. We'll see you back here tomorrow from Saratoga. It was Swansea Mile in the AP Smithwick Memorial, giving Richard Hendricks his first grade 1 since 2004. And in the John Morrisey Celtic Chaos, rolling from off the pace, and that young man, Eric Cancel. How about 2 on the day on this Thursday at Saratoga? Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you on Friday.
Then it's romantic music, and at the back of the pack, it's Wound with Her Eyes. Oh, Say Can You See on the inside, and Cincy Bell to the outside, matching strides on the lead. And then it's Unbridled Adventure. Third on the outside, romantic music is fourth, and Wound with Her Eyes last of them all as they head to the backstretch in 24.49 seconds. So it is Cincy Bell on the outside who grabs the lead from Oh, Say Can You See. And then Unbridled Adventure running in third, romantic music behind them in fourth. The trailer Wound with Her Eyes is 6 lengths off the lead as they continue up the backstretch.